Hello friends, welcome to episode 273 of the Noclip podcast. We got the OG crew here as ever. Jesse, Jeremy, the J crew, and Frank Howley back again to talk about some video games. We have a lot to talk about this week. We're going to talk about Densha de Go. Frank's love of train games has finally hit the podcast. The Ratline as well. Jeremy's been dancing around with some MMO goodness, and I have played and now can finally talk about well over 30 hours at this stage of The Legend of California from, let's see if I can get this right the first time, Kunsugiyama, the latest studio from Jeff Kaplan from the Overwatch team.
That's his full legal name.
Exactly. I believe that it's caused him problems ever since he's left Blizzard. We are going to have, or rather we should already have, a big preview of it up on Noclip 2 that you can check out. I've played loads of this game. I'm excited to talk about it. And hey, it's just a game about wandering around California, and who doesn't love that? None of you guys, apparently.
Never been.
The crickets of the audience going nuts. I was saying this before the podcast that they really need to incorporate Phantom Planet's California into the game. Like, imagine you open the game and it's the splash screen and it's like like that tin pan photography of like trains going by, but it's California, here we come, and guys like loading 6-shooters.
You're so proud of that bit, Jeremy.
It's not a bit. It's a serious opinion.
We should have like sort of little fade dissolves of the characters from the OC happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Name a character from the OC.
You know,
Chad.
There's the smarmy one.
It's probably a Chad.
Rick.
Dawson.
Stacy.
Right.
Barbara.
Everybody loves Dawson. Sullivan.
Pacey.
There's got to be a Paisley, right?
There's got to be a Paisley.
Ian Paisley's in the OC.
What is the OC about? Is it just about young people in Orange County?
Yeah.
It's like a car accident at some point.
Yeah. There's a dad. I remember the dad was a kind of a hot dad situation.
Frank, were you in this show?
No, it was the kind of thing where it's like I feel like kids at my school watched it, but I just didn't care about or acknowledge it. I feel like the brand Hollister and like American Eagle are like like everyone that became not just a look within Orange County, but like that became like the look that defined like Orange County, like the beach core, like ripped jeans, all that stuff. Like, so I just feel like I was surrounded by it and suffocated by it. That was already my high school, so it's like I didn't need to see it. But now, 20 years removed, it's like, oh, it'd be so fascinating. Because I also bet they shot it all in like LA and like Burbank. Like not at all Orange County, but I don't know.
Yeah, what would the OC be about now? Would it be like sort of rich Republicans?
Yeah, it'd be like MAGA Teslas and like ICE, I don't know, running around. I don't know, in Trader Joe's bags.
There'd be one episode they go to round one. You're there.
I'm picturing it right now. You will be happy to know that Rancho Santa Margarita is in The Legend of California.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh my God.
It gets real specific. The legend is real. I took a screenshot actually of like, you are now entering Zone 2, Rancho Santa Margarita. I forgot to send it to you. I was like, I'm screenshotting this for Frank immediately.
Way. Because like, isn't Jeff Kaplan in Orange County?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because that's like so hyper specific. That's insane. And Blizzard was in Irvine. Okay, that makes a lot. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe there's a metal statue of an orc somewhere in the Blizzard area, or maybe a blizzard happens. Who knows? That'd be weird. All right, we'll talk about that in a hot second. But first of all, I want to thank all of our incredible patrons at patreon.com/noclip and patreon.com/noclip2. We know you've been having a fun month with the Noclip extended universe for the past few weeks because our Disco Elysium series is I think again it should be out everything should be done by the time this podcast is up. We've obviously done Computer Worlds and a bunch of other stuff over there. We sort of put our foot on the gas this month because we're going to be asking people for support next month. We are, especially on the Noclip 2 side, we are operating with a budget of about $2,500 a month, which is as you might have noticed from the output, not quite enough to cover all of the work and the not even that, but the mission and the dream of this whole thing to highlight these games and to, you know, I don't know, lend a voice to this, what we think is not just like an important pocket of the industry, but more and more sort of the only pocket of the industry that you can feel particularly proud about talking about to a certain extent. We saw another, 20% of Epic was laid off earlier today by the sounds of things. It's rough times out there. And yeah, you know, we want to throw our weight behind, you know, not just covering games that are cool that we think are, you know, are worth documenting because they have laid the foundation of interesting design or philosophy or whatever when it comes to our Noclip work, but also looking at the future and you know, staking our claim, as it were, to use a Californiaism. You can hear that music playing again. With this important pocket of games, which is giving us so much joy as players, and now giving us joy as people covering it. So, word of warning: we will be asking for some support on Noclip too, but also throwing out some new ideas for how we can sort of create something new over there that, you know, leans into more of the magazine style, especially if you're a patron over there. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But in the meantime, a massive thanks to all of our patrons, including our tremendous Battle Pass holders, Brian Baru, Little Toast, Yush, Dwayne the Rock Lobster, Anthony Thomas, Nico Passateri, It's Me Ferrario, Senator Armstrong, Redredge, Harry Flanagan, Juice, Arno, Matt Pearson, Mark Rojas, Quote, Tucker Morgan, David McGarry, Goddison, Sven Huster, Pez, Bone Mauled, John Akers, Uint Nate, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Dark Insanities, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Christopher Tui, Grizzly Mug, Cameron Laird, Zachary Snader, Alex Goucher, George Sakotis, I said that a bit wrong there, Kinsugiyama, Jacob Godserve, Enthea Jen, James Med, and Ryson. Thank you all so much for your incredible support. Your support. We appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about California, the legend thereof. I've played, like I said, 30-something hours of this thing. I've played 3 different builds. I played the fall build from months and months and months ago of this thing. Then about 2 weeks ago, they updated me to the newer one. And then Sunday, they updated me again because I had a bug in mine to what is getting closer to the version of the game they're going to be putting out in a fairly closed alpha this week. So that alpha should be up right now. Wow. It's going to be a few hundred people. I don't know, a few thousand people. I have no idea how many are going to be in it. But that's the first time the game is going to be playable. It's going to be unembargoed from what I've been told. Like, people are going to be able to just talk about it, stream it, make YouTube videos about it, all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be interesting. What have you guys seen of this? What type of game do you think this is? Just from the media blast that happened last week, I suppose, because there was a teaser out, there was a couple of interviews, stuff like that. What have you guys sort of, where are you coming from with this? What do you think this is, given what you've seen of it online?
I think it's PvE Rust and 20% Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they did Jeff and someone else, I can't remember who.
Tim?
Did like a 10-hour, maybe? That sounds right.
Yeah.
Did like a 10-hour long stream of them playing and showing off stuff from the game. So I probably have an unfair expectation of what it was. I didn't watch the whole 10 hours. I maybe watched like dedicated 30 minutes and then just kind of had it up on another screen while I was doing some mindless work. And that seemed pretty interesting. I think Jeremy's pretty on point there, sort of like a survival crafting style game where you're collecting resources, mining, freeing animals out of cages and letting them run around, stuff like that. I mean, you've played more of this game. What's your feel on the full loop? Because my 30 minutes of watching dedicated people whose job is to show it off and make it look good maybe isn't exactly the perfect representation. Yeah,
I wonder if that stream was reactive. Like, they're like, our trailer didn't necessarily communicate what this thing is or how big the team is or whatever. So the long and short of it is that it's a relatively small team. It's like 30 people. Kinsugiyama, it's a studio founded by Jeff and Tim. I would say there's a decent chunk of these people are ex-Blizzard, but there's a lot of new folks too. It is a fully remote studio. They are The game is published by Dreamhaven, which is Mike Morhaim's company that he founded after leaving Blizzard as well. Sorry, I'm not sure if I said the studio or the game, but I assume the game, is funded by, is part funded by that. So yeah, it's not like this isn't the, Blizzard leaves to create massive new studio, new IP kind of thing. This is kind of a passion project that Jeff came up with while he was on gardening leave, or I think it was more so just he was on leave and he was bored gardening. You
said gardening leave, and I was like, is that a thing you can do?
Do you know what gardening leave is?
No, what is that?
Oh, so gardening leave is when if you are like in the sort of C-suite and you get laid off from a company or you go to another company, there's often a period of leave where you are not allowed to get another job, where you are basically like paid a certain amount. So it's kind of like a non-compete thing where you can't just immediately go to a competitor and do something like, like that. So yeah, gardening leave often, in Formula One, when we do the F1 podcast, like, a famous aerodynamicist was left one team and went to another, but he wasn't allowed to do anything for 9 months. He had like a period of his contract that he had to finish out. So yeah, they call that gardening leave, where you're basically
because you got nothing else to do. You're just watering cabbages.
You're not allowed to do anything else. That's how you know you're the fucking best, is if they're like, listen, you're too valuable to work right now.
We will pay you to do nothing.
Go grow fucking cucumbers.
So yeah, The Legend of California is like you said, it's Rust in many ways, and Jeff has played apparently 5,000 hours of Rust, so he is a big Rust guy.
That's a sicko right there. I respect that.
Absolutely. But Rust is obviously very PvP focused. This is a game that takes place in California on an island. California is an island. It has a west coast. It's also stolen some stuff, the rest of Lake Tahoe and the Colorado River, but otherwise it is basically a large open world map. It's about the size of the world in the recent Zelda games, is what I was told. It's a big world. I've run around it for quite a lot. But it's much more PvE, sort of crafting, leveling up focused. As you can tell from me playing over 30 hours of this thing, I find it incredibly Moorish. I've been playing on a server on my own, so I've not encountered people at all. There are PvP areas within the game, but when you're walking around, it's not like you can just gank people and steal all their stuff. I suspect at some point they will allow people to set up servers. I mean, I've been told as much. They want to get to a point where people can, fuck with the rule set as much as they want. You know what I mean? And make their own thing. It's a very sandboxy game. But yeah, the loop of the game is you start, it's very sort of typical survival crafty stuff where you wash up on a beach, you're collecting items, you're building a camp, you're, eventually chopping down trees and building a homestead. You can make you can have a little campsite that you can move around, but you can also put down a plot and create, a farmhouse and your own mine and a workshop and a lumber mill and all this sort of stuff. And that can be owned by the company, which can be like basically your party. So there can be a bunch of you working in that house, working in that mine together, like friends. There is two distinct forms of currency. One is owned by the company and one is owned by, it's like gold, and the other one is bucks, which is per person. So, one of the guys said that he was playing the game and, his buddy would work days or work nights or whatever. They'd be on alternate schedules and he'd come in the next morning and all of this work would have been done, but all of the company's money had been spent. It was like weird little dynamics like that. But the way in which the game plays feels very different to a lot of those games because of the PvE focus and also because of the nature of the gunplay. Like this takes place in a sort of a fantastical stripped down version of, Gold Rush California, let's say, sort of like outlaws, cowboys, flintlock weapons, muzzle loaded
Manifest Destiny
weapons. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I asked them about that because I was like, is there any Native American representation in this game? Like, how historical is any of this stuff? And they're basically making the argument that like this is pretty stripped back when it comes to anything to do with like. I think the idea that like there was so much history to cover, we couldn't cover any of it. There are so many tribes there's not one tribe in California. There's like 80 tribes in California. There was like multiple waves of, Spanish coming in, Europeans coming in, all this sort of stuff. So it has the affect of some of that stuff, but like obviously there's no cities and I'll get to the outposts and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's it feels like somewhat inert that way. Like there's no real story to the game. It is very sandboxy. There's an element of like you have a letterbox and people, this sort of mysterious stranger sends you a letter at the start to, thank you for setting up your homestead and stuff. A lot of this is just mechanisms to allow you to progress within the game. Like there's a jobs board that you can do jobs, quests, and they are like, kill 10 animals in this area, kill 15 banditos in this area, you know what I mean? But and then you just get paid money to your letterbox, you know what I mean? So it's very mechanical. This is a very video game ass kind of video.
Does the stranger send you letters and it's like, press tab to open the menu? Like,
exactly.
I thought it was a
You
cowboy.
tried pressing tab, nephew?
Yeah, you've been crouching much? You should crouch behind cover, son.
Me and the boys been crouching a lot. You should try it.
If you walk near a wall, you can go into cover mode. The crafting and building and sort of getting to the point where you have all of that stuff. Because like the more crafted games I play, the more I'm like, just let me get a house built. How long does it take for you to go from like punching trees to having a place that you can be inside of?
I mean, you have a tent at least within the opening, hour or so. Like the tutorial basically gets you a tent and gets you in a couple of fights pretty quick and killing animals and things like that. So, I was able to speed run back to getting my outpost set up, and I did it, in a play session. So I knew what to do. Right. I knew what I needed to get. So the interesting thing is that a lot of crafting games is obviously the whole, you need to get certain resources, and definitely there are certain resources that the PvE people, the bandits and stuff, you have to shoot them and rob their stuff from their camps, right? And then, they have like metal pieces that you need for certain stuff. But the big one is that there are blueprints that are only sold at these stores. So there are these general stores that you can go, but some of them are focused on mining, some of them are focused on clothing, guns, that type of thing. But you don't know where any of these are. They're in the fog of war of the map, right? Like World of Warcraft. I'm going to bring up World of Warcraft a lot because this feels weirdly World of Warcrafty, even though it's a first-person shooter. So you have to find these outposts. That basically pushes you out into the world to try and discover them, and then you need to spend enough money to like get the mining blueprint for the mine entrance, and then you can go back and build it. And building it then is like, a certain amount of wood, certain amount of rocks, maybe a couple of screws, stuff like that, and then you can build it. So the WoW stuff, I've talked ad nauseum on this podcast about how the way I played WoW was I loved exploring the world. I played solo predominantly. I was in a guild, but I mostly hung out by myself. I didn't do that many raids that I didn't have to off the quest line. I mostly just liked exploring the world and taking on, ads or, enemies, whatever. This game feels so much like WoW in that respect. I'm exploring the world. The AIs are not the smartest in the world. They kind of feel like mobs in WoW. Like, the shooting in it is at a way different pace to most first-person games because, like, seriously, the first gun I got took 8 seconds to reload one round, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm like fucking putting the thing in, putting the gunpowder and stuffing the fucking thing down the pipe and then taking a shot. You can use a bow and arrow, but it takes 2, maybe 3 shots to kill someone unless they get a headshot. It's kind of like a cowboy movie where they're taking shots and you can kind of dodge them. You can kind of see them coming a little bit. You can kind of dodge them. You get behind cover, you use a bandage to heal yourself. But the engagements have that feeling of WoW where you're sort of like, it doesn't have the pulling aspect of it, but like, cougar finding you as you're running through an area, and like suddenly attacking you or bringing you back to her apartment.
There you go.
I saw Jesse smiling and I had to do it. Sorry. Going out at nighttime and there being packs of wolves suddenly and being terrified of that sort of stuff. So it doesn't like it's a little bit Far Cry because it's kind of like there are outposts and you can steal the stuff and kill them. But like honestly, if one of them notices you, all of them kind of notice you. So it's kind of like WoW in that respect where, it's not like Far Cry where you can like stealth your way through the whole thing. They know if you're there and then they all start coming and, you take them on one by one and it's not like the combat. It's weird. It in some ways it feels like rudimentary, but in other ways it feels like classic. Like it feels like I'm playing in sort of a late 90s, early aughts, slow paced FPS. And I really like it. Like it's just about engagements and finding cover and you're not running and gunning and like figuring out what to do really fast. You're just sort of being methodical and getting through these places. And ultimately, how this changes is that there are sort of 4 world ranks. So you start off in level 1. Imagine where you start is like a beach on the West Coast, California. The area around you will be like level 1, right? The area around that, almost fanning out like a rainbow, will be level 2. Past that is level 3. Past that is level 4. So level 1, most of the bandits, they just have like bows and arrows. They're not hard to kill. Level 2, and it's mostly just like campsites and a couple of small outposts. Level 2, they get better. They start getting like, fan the hammer style pistols, that type of stuff. There's more dangerous animals. And then the outposts also sort of scale up. So they have, there'll be mining, there'll be a mine here, there'll be a little camp here, but then you start getting to like bigger outposts that have like big walls, right? All the way up to these really quite large towns that are like sort of, look like sort of a backlot set of a Western.
Okay. Yes.
Or like a large lighthouse or like some of the, and one of them is straight up like a massive, like it's like a war field. It's like a big sort of looks like a Mexican American war style kind of setup. And these are all dynamically placed. So each time a seed is made for the island, where you land changes, where the outposts all the way down to the individual mines, to the big cities. The big city could be in the middle of Death Valley, could be on Alcatraz, could be in SoCal.
But it's always the same big city. It's not like a differently.
Well, there are multiple ones of it, but
Okay.
I believe the actual city architecture for each one is the same, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But yeah, they dynamically place. Could be in Yosemite at some other stage.
Does the size of some of these outposts feel like again, not to invoke World of Warcraft, but I feel like it's particularly relevant because it feels like this is kind of what it's trying to capture in a different genre space. Do they feel like they have the scope of sort of like small dungeons, or do they feel like little sort of POIs that you go in and out?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. The big ones are ones that I look at and go, "There's no way I could do that without a posse." Like,
Okay,
I
cool.
would need to go in here with a bunch of friends, like pretty fully kitted out, because you're gonna get like the time to kill for the enemies is high. The time to die is high as well. Like if you get shot twice, you're in trouble. Like you're bandaging up. You can get if you get injured too many times, you can get like sort of permanent injuries. Well, not permanent, but like you get hurt when you die, for instance, and you die a lot in this game. It feels a lot like WoW. There's a kind of a corpse run where you only drop about 25 quid, I think, $25. I think maybe if you die like 4 times in a row, they start to take more stuff from you. But at the start, at least, you are, you can go back and get that money, but like it's not a big deal. It's not like all your equipment is left there or anything like that. But you also take like a debuff for like 20 minutes. And if you do it again, then you get a bigger debuff. The bigger ones feel like, you'll need to take on more people, because if you have like 3 people shooting at you from 3 sides, you're in trouble already, because you can't take that much damage. You can get better equipment, you can get better guns, you can get better, clothes that have a bigger armor spec. But like, also, if you run to a bear, good fucking luck. Like this, you can kill a fox, you can kill a rabbit. Those, the hogs, the warthogs or whatever, those guys are mean and they might kill you, but you can probably kill it. But there are some animals. Buffalo goes at you, you're fucked. Like
They still had grizzly bears in California at this
they did.
period, right?
They said the California grizzly was there, and unfortunately, I met quite a number of them. And they stand up on their hind legs and fucking go for you, and you're like, well, I guess I'm reloading in a second.
Well, what is your consequence for death? What happens?
Yeah, so you load relatively close by, like kind of like WoW. Well, I guess in WoW you spawn at a grave site.
Your ghost reappears and you
Yeah.
got to run back to your body.
Yeah, so in this you just spawn with all your stuff with a debuff. There's an X on the map, kind of like the Red Dead X. That is where your body was, where your loot is. But like I said, currently you only lose about $25, which is you could use it, but it's not an insane amount of money. And you can just go over and loot it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not punishing in that respect. The game is kind of about making you get out there. making you.
And when you say get
explore.
out there, like how far are you going from your, like if you had the tent at the beginning of the game,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's sort of like a little closer, but as you get further along, are you doing like 20, 30 minute treks away from your base or okay.
Let's
all right.
fucking get it. This is I think why I love this game. So like I got to preface this by saying like, Jeremy can appreciate this as well. Like I'm a California file. Like I love exploring this place. Like Jeremy has definitely opened my eyes when I moved here first to going out and spending time in the desert and going up to the redwoods in Mendocino and all the way up. I've been in the top corners of the state and the bottom corners of the state, and it's just such a fun place to explore. And the level of detail that they have, like I forget how many zones there are in the game, but like between zones and subzones, there must be like something like 60 distinct areas of California in this.
Oh, wow.
It's
Holy.
yeah. So like, and it looks like it. Like I was going on a drive and seeing trees. I went for a hike with my daughter on the weekend in Nevada, and I was walking around going, oh, that looks so like the game, because like they have all the tree. They have a couple of people on there who are California sickos who made sure that like the trees are right and all this sort of stuff. But like, yeah, like if you're out in Joshua Tree, seeing all that, and then in Death Valley and then somewhere else, it's amazing, right? So you're constantly going out and searching. The way that they do travel in this, again, is very World of Warcraft. So
You ride a griffin everywhere.
like you're like not far off. So and soul stoning, right? So you can go out into the world. The only fast travel points are those stores. So the stores where you get the blueprints. It's also where you can buy like horses and donkeys. I have a donkey. I had 2 donkeys. First one was called Fancy Lad. When they reset the server, I called the second one Noclip 2. So feeling pretty good about my name so far. You can bond with your horse by like feeding them grass and shit like that. But the horse gets fucking killed all the time. I threw my horse off a cliff so many times. And all this shit. And then they have to wait 20 minutes to respawn your horse or whatever. But so when you're going around the world, and granted also that all of these locations of the stores are also generated as part of the seed, which also means the roads connecting everything are different every time you play the game as well. So everything is like sort of refreshed. Those are fast travel points. And when I say fast travel, I mean like getting on a griffin. There are carts that bring you from one to the other.
Hell
So
yeah.
if you take a trip from the northwestmost point to the bottom west on one of those carts, granted the roads are different every time, it takes about 30 minutes.
Wow.
Like it's a big area. It's not like crazy big, but it feels pretty big. That said, you can quote unquote, I'm going to use the word soul stone back to either your tent or your outpost, I think once every 30 minutes or something, similar to World of Warcraft. So, you can strategize, you know what I mean? Like what I did was my tent is quite far from my outpost, and you can also move the tent ad hoc. So if I'm in like Death Valley, I can just like hit a button and my tent will reappear here, and that will be where my tent is now. Okay. And it has a bunch of equipment in it, but it's also a fast travel spot. So you kind of have 2 soulstone locations you can go to at any time that are on the same timer. And then otherwise, I do a lot of like, yeah, it gets weird. It reminds me of World of Warcraft when you take the Griffin from Ironforge to Stormwind and you're looking at all the shit. Like it's kind of similar where like you take it, no one can like hurt you. You can also jump off at any stage. You can cancel the trip. So if you want to get somewhere in the middle, you can't just jump out here, which I guess you can't do on a Griffin because you'll break your fucking legs. So that becomes a sort of a strategy too. But yeah, so the loop of the game to me feels very WoW, where I'm just like going around talking to vendors, shooting animals, getting their pelts, getting in a fight, finding a mine, and then killing everyone in the mine and stealing all their stuff, maybe mining some of their shit. The whole game is done with voxels, so the mining is like voxel based, so you can tunnel like kind of all over the place. You can build a mine within your camp that has, I think, up to 10 levels. So you take the elevator down, and then it's almost like it's almost like, I don't know, like roguelike's the wrong word. Like it's almost like a puzzle game where you have to find where the next elevator is by digging through. It's not like all the elevators are on one.
It's like Stardew Valley.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of. In Stardew Valley, you have to like find the staircase down each level.
Yeah.
And then you get elevators that are like checkpoints as you go deeper.
So it's similar. And I think every once in a while the elevators become part of the express elevator. So like maybe if you go to the 4th level, then you can take the elevator straight up or whatever. But you know, and yeah, when you're playing the game with like someone else, because I've had a couple of the devs come in and help me with some bits and bobs, especially when I had to do the reset. You know, it's weird because you're in like this dark ass cave and there's somebody around with a fucking headlight, you know, and like knocking on, and then like you lose them, and you're like, shit, I'm stuck, you know. So I'm looking forward to playing with people when they get the alpha up, for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say it feels like very different in its game design in many ways, but does this game make you think of Valheim?
In some ways and not in others. So in the way that in Valheim, my main motivation in Valheim for doing better was to explore new stuff. Yeah. Like I remember when you first got to that sort of farmland area with those dead squiddos, like you kind of needed to be at a certain level. And also generally, I think you needed to like build a boat and go with a posse and do all that sort of stuff. I'd say the world of Valheim is a lot more deadly than this is. Because in Valheim, when you died, you always go back. You lose all your stuff, I think. And then
I think you drop all your stuff, which is why I was always terrified to fall off the boat and have all my shit just like sink to the bottom of the ocean. Valheim death was very punishing, and Valheim was interesting too because since it was an action RPG, it's very using Souls like I'm very loosely here, but Souls adjacent. It's in the same neighborhood. It was almost like they had to make it so punishing that you couldn't just like, if you were a great Souls player, you couldn't just like skill shot your way to the end of the game. So you would just it was like impossible. There was like a gear check, an MMO style gear check, where it's like in an MMO you can't be so good at an MMO, you can just like go fight the end boss at level 1 or whatever.
Totally.
So Valheim was very punishing for that reason, to almost just to like artificially gate progress.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it pushed back a little bit more. Like the combat in this game is not difficult. Like I'll say that. It's not it's only difficult if you have a gear mismatch. Like if you don't have the right, if you try and go up to a group of raiders with guns and you only have a bow and arrow, it can be pretty tricky. You usually have to hit them like 3 or 4 times to knock one of them down. There might be 5 or 6 of them. Sometimes you run across like big bands of people coming at you, but you can walk around. Like the other thing is that like Valheim is a game that you spend a lot of time kind of walking through quite, it's third person and it's quite dense, like a lot of forests, a lot of like sort of like things where you don't quite know what's in front of you. Whereas the Legend of California, there are forests and stuff, but like a lot of the time you can see quite far, so you can avoid or target certain stuff, And it has that feeling that I really like of when you go on a hike or you explore, if I go off on my Jeep or whatever, of like kind of loneliness. Like it has that solemn sort of quiet, you're walking across the desert and the stars look amazing. And, you're just sort of like on your own. You hear a coyote off in the distance, like that type of stuff. It's definitely like, I would say it is a very polished indie game rather than saying this is not a game from a AAA studio. It's 30 something people. I think it's 33 people making this game. But
same as Expedition 33. That's awesome.
There you go. Yeah,
that's great.
Maybe less AI though. I suspect.
Don't count your chickens on that one. All right. Let's wait a second and see for the game to come out. All right.
Yeah, I did ask about. I think I have anything on the record, but no, I'm pretty sure there's nothing of that nature in this one. It's such a systemic game though. Like it feels very 2004 game designy in a fucking cool way for whatever reason, like that, some games pull you in and some games don't. And I just love hanging out in the game world, and I've had a blast, just exploring, and stupid shit happens all the time. Like funny things happen a lot, my stupid horse getting eaten by a bear out of nowhere, or, just like you're like, oh fuck, I should have done that. And you're chopping down trees, and there are like legendary trees, and you have to have a good axe to knock down the legendary tree.
Good.
Hell yeah.
There's legendary animals. I found like a white elk. No, it wasn't. It was a white deer, and I it was right at the start of one of my resets, and all I had was a bow and arrow, and I was like, I had to put like fucking 20 something arrows in this thing.
You killed the white deer?
I know, I did feel bad about that. You do kill a lot of people.
Princess Mononoke?
Like, this is a game where violence is the solution. I'll say that. Like, at the start, I was like, oh, the beautiful majesty of California. I wonder.
You're like, oh, I bet that thing could be harvested for goods.
Yeah, and in the opening 20 minutes, I've killed like 15 people. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like a bunch of raiders who look like they're kind of poor. And I just like, you know.
It is called The Legend of California. That sounds pretty on point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So something I'm interested in about this game is before you started talking about it, I had watched maybe 30 seconds of gameplay, and it was just Jeff Kaplan was streaming it with another dev, and they were just popping in and out of a door and shooting guys, and I was like, I'll wait to like. I feel like this is not propping in 7.5 hours into a stream is like not the way to see this game for the first time. I didn't realize. I thought it was more like Valheim, where you have a private sort of like co-op server. I didn't realize that there was it's like a PvE, like big Rust style server.
How many people are on Rust in a server?
God, I don't even remember. Like dozens, but
okay.
Probably,
I think there's 100 per server on this.
Yeah.
I will say, all of this stuff that I've talked about, and especially with regard to the online component, this game is coming out in alpha in a week. Like, I don't know when they're gonna do a beta, or if it's going to be early access, or if it's going to be full. Like, who knows? All of this stuff is probably likely to change.
Yeah, I did think your thought on it feeling very lonely and having this like degree of solitude. All I could imagine was you hear the coyote screaming, and then you hear 30 players in the distance go like, "Ow!"
Yeah,
like,
it's going to be Barons chat eventually.
So
it's just going to be people running around
They have
screaming.
Barons chat. So
hell yeah, there's like a gen chat.
The chat is a general. They have a general text chat.
That's very funny,
right? Like, I was like, you've got to, and then there's a guild. Like, there's a company chat, which is your guild. You know what I mean? So like,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like the World of Warcraft references you've been making, Jeff Kaplan's association with Blizzard, obviously the gen chat stuff. I feel like there's a lot of interesting things about old MMOs that like could be reused in other genres that kind of aren't. I'll talk about it later, but I've been playing some recent MMOs, and it is weird how they've become more similar to single player AAA experiences than when I used to play MMOs as a kid.
Yeah, like I feel like playing WoW and stuff it's very systemic and kind of simple. Like, the gameplay loop of those games is simple, whereas like you go, like, it's weird. I haven't played it yet. I'm looking forward to playing it. But having played a bunch of Black Desert a couple of years ago, Black Desert Online, I was looking at Crimson Desert and being like, oh, they took crazy Korean MMOs and made them single player. Like, this is, you know, but it is, it's weird how that all works. The map is really big. So I suspect at the start of a server siege, you're going to see a lot of people camping close to each other because of the nature of we all start sort of in this easier area. And then as people make their way out into the, you know, level 3, level 4, they've talked about doing monthly server resets, or I wouldn't call them server resets. I guess they call them reseeds or whatever, where it spins up everything all over again. Again, I don't know if that's the cadence they want to go for, or, you know, they've talked about ideally having the ability for people to have their own private servers and then they can do whatever they want. You know what I mean? Like, do it every quarter, every year, or whatever. So I don't know. And I think that's the big question that they have right now is, how does all that PvP stuff feel? How does shooting other people feel? I know they've done some of this themselves, but like, you know, if you're talking about a game that requires 100 people to fill a server and your studio is 33, you know, even if you get everyone on, it's only a third of the total. So I think what I like about it is the game has a very pure vision. It's executing on a pure vision. It's quite simplistic. You know, it's a crafting game. I think the detail is in like stuff like the rendering. Game looks really good. The mining is quite a complex. Like, you're talking about, voxel-based mining on a server with 100 people. Like, there's a lot of tech stuff that has to be figured out to make a lot of this stuff work. You know, in the versions I played, performance has gotten way better. Like, I was putting the graphics down to like medium to try and get 60 frames per second out of their fall build. Even the build that they put up 2 days ago for me is orders of magnitude. Well, maybe not orders of magnitude, but like significantly better performance. And the performance you can see is on like sort of they're using the GPU RAM to do a bunch of computational stuff. You know, you can feel it when you go into a big area and suddenly there's a bunch of AIs that are around and all that stuff. But like it has that Half-Life-y thing of 3-way fights where like you're fighting some of these outlaws and then suddenly a fucking pack of wolves comes in and then they're like, oh shit.
And the Vortigaunts show up. And
Yeah,
you're like, "How the
Get
Vortigaunts
third
are
partied by a fucking white deer.
and they're killing it. Or you can kite animals in, or like that's why that cage with the animal is there, because you could, like Far Cry style, you can shoot the lock and it'll release the animal. Of course, sometimes it's 2 rabbits and that's not much worth. But then some.
Unless it's a legendary rabbit.
Oh, could you imagine? I bet there's a legendary rabbit in this game.
Or like a jackalope. I wonder, are there, okay,
There are
I don't know if you
jackrabbits.
know this. Are there mythical creatures in this, like jackalopes?
How much
and-
fantasy's going on in
I
the
don't-
legend
or
of
is this-
California?
I
This is
asked
totally
if they
grounded.
stuck Bigfoot in or any of
Yeah.
that stuff, and they said no. Right now, it's all pretty. I mean, aside from the mythical, legendary trees, which literally have like a glowing aura around them.
Okay, well,
and the white stag, I guess maybe that's. I don't know if that is or isn't. But no, there's not much of that stuff. And I did mention they had no like First Nations stuff in there, but I think the only thing I saw was there's a tomahawk in there, which I assume is a Native American weapon.
It's a difficult line to tread
It
in
is.
a sandbox first-person shooter. It's kind of like, I don't know, like how
no,
do you do
no,
it?
you're totally right. How do you make a game where those tribes exist and also you can like grief the environment? Like, how do you do that? You know?
Yeah.
It's tricky.
It's
could-
just,
I don't think
it's
you
just
could do
asking
that.
for
You're
like
a-
you
yes.
just know day one someone's going to be like, I killed every Native American. And it's
Right.
like, why would you
Yeah.
make this YouTube
And then
video?
the achievement
Check out my
pops,
clip. I
and you're
killed all
like,
the Cherokees.
Wait, what?
And they
What?
wanted me to do it. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. No matter how much, like you could do all the research in the world and have, Native American consultants and people who are like connected to the heritage and all this stuff. And then it's like in this sandbox first person shooter where all of that can be just kind of, it's like you're allowing people into the museum to like fuck with the exhibits.
Yeah, because the other thing is like this game reseeds California every single time. So then the only thing that stays is place names. Like everything, like and obviously locations and geometry and things like that of the actual like earth and the trees and the stuff like that. But like everything else changes. So like landmarks are in different places, cities are in different places, all that sort of stuff. So it just like the game doesn't feel like it's taking any of that. Like it's something that I consciously thought of while I was playing. It was like, oh, I wonder if, because as somebody who travels around a lot of California, what you're confronted with a lot is Native American history, Mexican American history, Spanish conquistador. I mean, the Spaniards thought California was an island when they first found it. They came up from Mexico, they saw the Baja Peninsula, and they just figured, oh, it's a fucking huge island. They never went in to see. So for a while, there's a bunch of maps of California, and it is an actual island. So like, and then obviously like the gold rush and stuff like that. There's elements of this that feel historical, of course, because there's mining towns and things like that. But yeah, once you play the game, like I feel like a couple of hours in, I was like, oh, this is like a sandbox. Like if this feels as much like Minecraft as it does, Red Dead, like Red Dead feels like, oh, you're in this place and there's this history and story. Like there's no NPCs you don't murder. Like the only people in this world who are living that you don't shoot are the people who run the stores and the fast travel carriage man. There are no like civilians in this world.
You can't shoot the shopkeepers?
No, I tried.
You're cowboys.
In
You're
fact,
outlaws.
in fact, the shopkeepers don't even help if, let's say, by accident, you got a boar to follow you into one of the shops and it's killing you in that tiny space. And you're frantically trying to kill the boar, and then you die, and you're bleeding out on the floor, and the shopkeeper's just there. Standing, you gonna buy it?
Hey, it's none of my business.
Exactly.
It's like when a fight breaks out in McDonald's,
It is your business, though. They're literally in your business.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey man, this was before, labor laws or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The guy-
before
it's like a
OSHA. They hadn't
liability.
figured it out yet.
The guy doesn't want to fill out all the insurance paperwork if he helps you.
Oh man.
I got to do an incident report. I don't want to touch you, man. Then I got to call the police. It's too much. I can't help.
Can I do a quick Bigfoot cul-de-sac?
Sure,
While we're talking
absolutely.
about Bigfoot, I don't think I'll ever have another opportunity to
Do
bring
it,
this up.
please.
I've been looking for like
Bigfoot?
cheap rural land because I've been looking for Bigfoot. No luck so far. No, I found a very shitty cabin in rural California in a town I'd never heard of, and I was like, it was dirt cheap, and I was like, I could fucking fix this up. I'm a handy guy, so I looked into this town, and I'd never heard of it. Looked it up, and the first thing that came up was a Reddit thread from Reddit.r/Bigfoot.
Oh yes.
Oh no.
And it was I have to regale you with the short version.
I
of
need
the
to
story.
join that subreddit immediately. I'm going to do it
I
right
know.
now.
I'll tell you, I started reading this and was like, this is gonna be hilarious. I finished reading it and I was like, it put the fear of Bigfoot in me. So this guy was like, when I was a kid, we moved out to this town in rural California. My dad was like a no nonsense, like a man's man, carried his 45 on his hip and whatever. And he had some job that involved like bringing supplies to people who lived in super rural areas where like the road would be closed sometimes
Human
by
trafficking.
trees.
Okay.
Yeah. So he would like ride his horse deep into the woods of Deep Mendo and bring supplies to people from communities that were like cut off during emergencies and road closures and stuff. And so he's like, this dude was afraid of nothing, like a fucking man's man. One day he leaves for his like 2 to 3 day trip on horseback with supplies. Comes back later that night, pale as a ghost. He's like, it's the only time I've ever seen my dad scared. And he runs in the house and he starts pulling all the guns out of the gun safe and handing them to like us and like the mom and stuff. And it's like, if anything comes in the house, you fucking shoot it. And so the dad's like, I like was riding down the trail and I saw like a 10-foot, there like a huge like thing in the woods. And it started pelting me with rocks. So I came back to the house because it was like, and they were like chasing me. And so the dude writing this Reddit, this could all be fucking fiction, but it's such a good story that I have to share it anyway. He's like, so rocks start like hitting the house. Like there's like rocks raining down the house. And he's like, my dad is like, it's the only time I've ever seen him scared. He's pale as a ghost. He's
Dad
like,
fucking puts the shotgun in his mouth and he's like,
it's like
"That's the
they're
last
coming
day
for
I
us.
saw my
I'm not
dad."
going to let any Bigfoot take me out.
You're on your
so
own,
he-
fuckers.
So he's like, as the sun started to come up, the rock stopped hitting the house and they like left us alone. And he's like, but it was like never the same again. Like we never felt safe there again, and we moved later that year.
Wow.
And I swear
And
to
now
God,
you can
I don't
buy this cabin for $15,000.
I went back to the Zillow listing and I was like, this is the cabin where that happened. And there's no fucking way of
You
buying
can see all
it.
these rock holes in the roof.
All the indentations in the
those
fucking in the tin roof. But I went back and I looked at the Zillow listing, and all I could picture was like that was the cabin, and I was like, no, fuck this, it's fucked now, it's ruined, I can't live here. But I don't know why. It was like, it was the way it was written. It wasn't like when you read someone who's trying to tell a scary, like there's like all the subreddits where it's like people trying to tell scary stories. They're always told in a way where they're like, isn't that fucking freaky?
Yeah.
This was told like the tone of it had gravitas. Like this guy was like relaying a traumatic anecdote from his childhood.
Either way, it's either a great writer or it's something that happened to this person. And either way, it's scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It works.
no, for sure. But listen, he kept me. He could have been someone from that community who doesn't want outsiders coming there. And if that's the case, it fucking worked, because there's no way I'm moving to Denny, California.
Denny, California. Wow. Did they have a Denny's at Denny, California?
I don't think they have anything.
This is Waffle House territory. You watch yourself.
That's
The
true.
Sasquatches there were not happy with the Denny's. This was 24 hours a day. Not in this town.
Not on my watch.
One of my favorite things about America is that like anywhere there's woods, they say that's where Bigfoot's from. Like
Yeah.
it's anywhere. Like I'm sure in like where you are now, like in like northern Massachusetts, like Vermont.
You would think so.
There must.
I've never heard any Bigfoot lore up here. I know down in the Everglades they got skunk ape and stuff. Pacific Northwest.
Skunk ape.
Yeah,
Is that a
skunk
guy
ape.
who just
over this.
smokes a lot of weed?
Skunk Ape's the developer of Poker Night at the Inventory.
It
yeah.
absolutely is.
Oh, you did bring that
games.
up. Yeah.
We know, yeah, I remember
Yeah,
this.
it's a Bigfoot variant said to inhabit Florida's Everglades.
It's like an evolution. It's like Pokemon.
Yeah. A skunk ape evolves into Bigfoot,
Nice.
but you gotta expose him to the Thunderstone. Yeah,
And it
the
loses
Pacific
all its
Northwest
memories
is
of being a skunk. ape.
yeah, it's like that sad episode where he's gonna turn Pikachu into Raichu. Yeah, the Pacific Northwest is like the Bigfoot hotspot. I talked about this a million podcasts ago, but I had a friend who was a cannabis grower up there, and he swore that he'd seen a Bigfoot. Like he was the dad in that story. Like he would turn pale, and he was like, I won't go out without a gun. Like he was like, they have like portals. They use portals to travel. And he's like, I don't fucking trust him. But that guy took a lot of LSD.
I was about to say the guy who gets stoned in the woods. Has
Yeah,
like some,
no, he would like go up to like Garberville and spend like a month at a time alone, just like dosing and fucking hanging out up there. So I feel like I might see a couple portals if I was doing the same.
I would love if they, I don't know how you do it in a sandbox game, but I would love if they added some of that, weirdness to remember like Undead Nightmare in the original Red Dead and like, because a lot of Californian like lore is this sort of, the desert, like I've talked before, but all that weird like desert lore. It's all fucked up stuff. Like, oh, this guy got rich and he built this huge mansion in the middle of Death Valley. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Or like this, it's all esoteric weird. In fact, one thing they told me was like they had a bug at one stage where like, because of all these points of interest, these POIs go around the map, they had one where there's a lighthouse that can get there's cool like there's like a lighthouse, there's like I've seen like a tanker or a big ship rather that's washed up on the coast and stuff like that, like interesting things. But they had by accident one of the lighthouses went beside like a relatively small pond. Like
that's awesome.
It was obviously like enough water for the system to go, okay, I'll put a fucking huge lighthouse here. And I was like, no, keep that, because that's the type of weird shit that happens in California, is that somebody built a huge lighthouse beside a tiny pond. Like that's the sort of, the Weird West element,
I think that's maybe, I haven't played it, so I can't really lobby it as a criticism, but just like from what you're saying of this game, I do find it interesting that they didn't lean on that more. Because whenever you and Jeremy and Frank, you've also sort of brought up some of this stuff. When you guys talk about California as someone who's never been there, it sounds like a mystical, magical, fucked up place that I want to go to and like learn more about. You talk about these small towns where it's like, oh, there was this mascot that everyone talked about, and it's like, yeah, one day they disappeared. There's just shit like that where it's like weird stuff going on. It's a place that doesn't make any sense. It's in the middle of a hot desert where nobody can survive, but people pilgrimage there every year. Like stuff like that I was expecting to hear more of you say, but it sounds like Legend of California is so straight-faced for a game that has legend in the name. It's quite straightforward in its presentation.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
It like, I think in many ways, like again, it's a 33-person team and the game kind of feels like that. I wonder if people are going to come in with bigger expectations of what this thing is, maybe like, it does feel like something closer to a face punch game, like a Rust or something, in terms of like scope, right? It's not, and those games you play them and you forgive that. You don't care, in the same way you play PUBG and it's rough around the edges and, it's like a lot of like templated buildings and stuff. But you're like, no, I'm here for the mechanisms, all that sort of stuff. This isn't meant to be, like Fallout New Vegas. You know what I mean? It's meant to be this more, sort of gameplay focused thing rather than lore or story focused thing. The thing I do wonder is, when you get players into that, will some of it come from that? Like, will companies be able to come up with weird, identifiers around them? You can set up trading posts where you can sell things, so other people from other companies can literally come to your outpost and buy stuff. You decide what to sell and what to sell it for. My original one was called GameStop. In my most local seed, it's called Blockbuster Video. So I'm keeping it on. So I wonder, between that and the general, the Barons chat stuff, like maybe there's room there for some weirdness to emerge, sort of on the social level, away from the game. But yeah, I think like if this game becomes popular and becomes a game that is, I assume they would work on it for years and add to it. It would be cool if like, like Herobrine type shit. Like I wonder if you could.
That's what Bigfoot will be.
Right. Yeah. Like imagine if they could just like make a weird 10-foot thing appear for a couple of seconds, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck was that? And no,
that's also the kind of thing you wouldn't want to do in early testing, because if someone sees like if the Bigfoot breaks and it's like, yeah, Bigfoot was just standing there. I walked right up to him. Here's screenshots of his giant ass feet.
T-posing fucking Bigfoot.
T-posing Bigfoot that's the fucking thing, is someone will finally get a photo of Bigfoot, but it'll be T-posing. And like, that's like a fucking 3D model.
That would be funny if there's a camera in the game and every time you take a picture of where Bigfoot would be, it just gets blurry.
That'd be so good. I was asking them, like, because obviously they've looked at like John Muir stuff and Ansel Adams and like all this sort of stuff when they're making their version of California. And I was like, please, like the one thing I would love in this game is to put in like an Ansel Adams mode where you can take photographs, but like you have to like drag your fucking camera up to the top of Half Dome, you know what I mean, to take. And they were like saying like, yeah, we have ideas like this, but like we're just trying to get this thing to a stage where it plays.
Can you just
properly.
Make Red Dead Redemption 2 again? Can you guys just do that with 33 people? That's all anyone really wants.
And what's funny is like the stuff about Red Dead 2 that I think a lot of people felt frustrated with maybe was the lack of sandboxy stuff. Like Red Dead is such a there are I mean, they had the online stuff, which I guess was more of that, and like there was special stuff where you could like set up your camp, and they had dynamic.
Yeah, I do wish there was more of that for sure.
Yeah, and it's, you can't really live in the world like that. And obviously, Red Dead's world is one of the most incredibly realized, just from the actual world building. Like walking around that world is I actually bizarrely, probably because I've been playing this, and they had this. Did you see the spring sale? Was on Steam last week, or maybe it's currently on.
Still going, yeah.
And Red Dead, I think, was like $12. Red Dead,
Red
Dead 2, and I had it on wishlist for years waiting for a price drop. I probably missed a bunch of them, but I finally picked it up, and now I just have to afford $1,000 for a hard drive big enough to fucking install it. It's about 120 gigs, I think.
But then you can hunt legendary animals to the southeast of Saint Denis. It's beautiful, man. I play Red Dead Redemption 2 for so many hours.
I'd never played it on PC, so that's what I want to do now, and also install mods so I can get all the faces clean.
Bigfoot.
Get those clean faces. So that's the Legend of California. Alpha's out at the moment. I don't know what access is going to be like. I don't think it's that big. There's going to be people reporting on it. We have a big preview up on Noclip 2. Do you guys have any last questions about the Legend of California?
No, it sounds cool. It sounds like an interesting crossover of a bunch of interesting ideas. I mean this in the most complimentary way possible. It sounds like if this game didn't exist, it sounds like a game that your friend who doesn't make games would be like, oh, bro, it's going to be, if I made a game, it'd be like fucking cowboys. You'd be able to like mine and shit. It'd be like 100 players. And you'd be like, that's cool, man. Except they actually like made that game, which is awesome.
Yeah, in many ways, it feels like exactly the type of game that you expect when you see the trailer or screenshots. But what I think works is that, at least for me, is that the gameplay dials are by a bunch of people who a lot of them worked at Blizzard on World of Warcraft for a long time. Like the guy who's their combat dude made Onyxia. You know what I mean?
Oh, wild.
Yeah, like, and they're all just like the most, humble, normal people. They're just like, oh, I mean, I've only met like a handful of them, but we've interviewed 5 people for this series, or video. But it just seems like it's a well-designed, simple. It's like an indie game, well-designed. It kind of reminds me of Supergiant in some ways. Where like pound for pound, this team, we talk about Supergiant, they're very smart and they kind of work independently and they work together, and they make games that are small but really well produced. And this game's a bit bigger and maybe not as polished, and that's kind of where it sits.
It is interesting. We've had this happen a few times over a decade of Noclip. When you meet someone who made such an iconic part of an iconic game, and they're so humble about it. Like we interviewed someone who made either the spell bar or the portraits from WoW when we did the uncap stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's like the UI. That's like the UI of my childhood.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever. It's fucking weird because it's not like meeting a famous director where they're like, yeah, I'm Martin Scorsese. I'm like a fucking legend.
Yeah.
It's just people who are so humble about this insane contribution to the culture.
Yeah, it's mad. You ask them about it and then they like slowly tell you. Like it took me a while to find out exactly what he'd worked on. I would have.
Yeah, it's not. They don't lead with that.
No, I would have led with like, yo, you know who I fucking made?
Me too. That'd be I'd wear an Onyxia T-shirt around. And be like, ask me about how I made Onyxia.
Exactly. All right, that's it. The Legend of California. Pick it up some stage in the future. Go watch our video. Jesse, bit of a change of pace here. The Ratline. This game is on Steam. Came out just last week, it looks like. Kind of what are we talking? This is a Jesse game, is it? It's like a puzzle kind of experience?
I'd say so. It's a detective game where so the Ratline plays a bit like the Root Trees Are Dead or Curse of the Golden Idol, that sort of thing. Where you're basically, it's not quite Mad Libsy. It's Mad Libs. Yeah, those guys, they're always mad. It's more like you're trying
Twitter
to fill
account,
in.
Is that what it was? The Mad Libs?
Yeah, exactly.
Mad Libs.
Yeah. Mad Libs of gaming. The Ratline is like, it's like the Curse of the Golden Idol in that what you're doing is you're basically looking at a bunch of images in this like corkboard style layout. But what you're doing is like the research of figuring out who you're looking for and what you're looking for. The setup for the game and the reason that I wanted to check it out, on top of it just being in the genre that I like, is the Ratline, as it's so named, is essentially a underground railroad for Nazis. And you are playing as a sleuth, Saul, not Goodman, Perlman, who is hunting down as like just a detective basically, but you're picked up by this mysterious voice on a phone that calls you up. It takes place in like the 1960s, I think, something like that, 70s, 71 it says on the Steam page here. And you are tasked with hunting down the Nazis that have been shifted around through this Ratline, as it's so named.
Where does it take place?
You are positioned in, I think, New Jersey.
Okay.
Or it might be New York, but like, so you know, Northeast America.
New something.
And exactly. New something. I mean, they literally name it. Like everything's named. I don't know how, based on history this is, apart from there being Nazis. But it's very interesting. I think it is actually New York because you get access to the New York Library's archive. But basically, like, you're given a dossier of people that you're looking for. You get a name and then a bunch of pictures or letters that this mysterious organization sends you. They slip like a manila envelope under your door. It's not like you can stand up and walk around. There's just like a cutscene of it playing. And then you have a couple of things that you can interact with. And sometimes when you play these games, these sort of like detective scouring for information games, they'll like subtly highlight stuff. Like important stuff is bold or it's underlined. Here, nothing is underlined.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
As soon as you start, you get the dossier, you get some information. The tutorials are pretty good at like subtly pushing you in the direction you need to go. And there's not like too much information to become overwhelmed. But like, I think the second mission that I did, or the second chapter, it's all split up into chapters, really showed me how challenging this game was going to be. It took me way longer than I thought it would. So essentially, like, when you're doing the investigation, you can collect a certain amount of documents. Like there's a bunch of pieces of evidence that you can sort of correlate the information. Like, I'm looking for Howard Schultz. Okay, so I know this is his old name. He was called Howard Schultz. Now I need to figure out what his new name is. What does he look like? Which they don't usually have a picture of them. And where is he or where is she? And when you're doing that, you have like no information. The letter that you get will be like, okay, this is the person. Maybe they like sent a letter to their mom and their mom's name was Gladys. And you're like, okay, what the hell do I do with that? And just using the tiniest little bits of information you can find, you have to like check the New York Library and see if there's a file that has something related to a person's job. You have to, you have a phone and a rotary or like a Rolodex of numbers that you can flip through, but like it has so many phone numbers in it. You have to know exactly what you're looking for.
Wow.
And you can call them up and there's these actually pretty long conversations. They're almost a little bit too long. And they'll give you just enough information to sort of find the next piece of the puzzle. Luckily, the UI and UX sort of do a good job of like, there's some UX issues that like I think it's just like overlapping UI elements that don't really work, or like things you have to go back into the menu to check, but the menu is sort of structured weirdly, but whatever.
Back or something, or
exactly, yeah. But basically, you just like are going through all these documents trying to figure out the information, and it's like it's a really good test of your ability to decipher what information is important, and also to like the game does that thing of in the Curse of the Golden Idol, when you try to solve a puzzle, if you don't have it right, it won't tell you what you don't have right. It'll tell you have two things wrong.
Yeah.
And you have to go and figure out what those two things might be. So you have to look over all your information. Yes. Yeah. Dude, it's really, it's fantastic.
Right?
Sorry, it doesn't tell you what the two things are.
Okay, so yeah, because you could kind of brute force some of that stuff in Curse of the Golden.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You could get around it. Wow. So is this a notepad game?
So weirdly, maybe I'm not far enough. It kind of is a notepad game, but I feel like if you used a notepad, you'd be doing yourself a disservice, because the game has
swastikas on it over and over again.
Well, I mean, you got to be careful. No, it was the other one. I did it backwards.
Research.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just Googling.
Yeah, it's Hinduism.
I just want to know about it. Yeah, the Ratline, it has that cork board, so you can like, you have the evidence on the page or on the screen, and then you have the people that you're looking for on there as well. But like, you can't manipulate the evidence much. There's a bunch of little windows that pop up. So when you're trying to type in a phone number, there's a little window. When you want to search for stuff, there's a window that pops up overlaying all your evidence. And you can also click into the evidence and zoom in, but you can't like, there's no magnifying glass or anything. So you have a bunch of ways to check the information, but like, I feel like if you were writing stuff down, you would be doing a lot of like looking down at the page and then looking up at the screen, like double checking in a way that's not really comfortable. I do wish there was more ability to like pin stuff onto the screen here or manipulate the items. It seems like, I don't know what system they're using in the back end to do everything, but it does seem like there's a lot of good art, and then there's like these systems that were not designed for this game necessarily. Because like at the end of a chapter, once you've figured out who you're looking for, it does that Seance of Blake Manor thing where at the end of an investigation, it'll be like, all right, and now tell us what happened, just to make sure you know what's going on. I think Curse of the Golden Idol does that as well, where at the end it has like, you learned that John was, and then you have a bunch of things you pick
Nazi.
from. Yes, exactly. Nazi.
That was easy.
This game, who made this game? Was it for babies? Yeah, and like the drop down, it looks like a basic UI element. Like it doesn't look like it was made for the game. So stuff like that. I'm just curious, like how much freedom they have to allow the elements to move. I would love to see that stuff changed. But so far, I think I'm not super far into it, but man, it is one of the hardest versions of these that I've played. It has no interest in helping you. The hints aren't even really helpful. Like they are, there's a lot of hints and they get really individual. Like you can hold the hint marker to tell you what documents you might be missing. But once you've got all of the documents, it'll be like, you have everything. Don't worry about it. Now you just need to figure out who they are. And then sorry.
Yeah. Are you fine? Are you enjoying it though?
Oh yeah, it's great. But like each individual thing then has its own hint marker of like, you can find the name, like it'll help you with the name. It's challenging in a way that I feel like it's giving you enough information and you can do it on your own. But if you really do want help, it doesn't like chastise you for doing it. You don't lose points. You don't like get a worse story from what I can tell. Yeah, it's very involved too. It's like a great conspiracy. All the chapters sort of build on top of each other in a way I wasn't expecting them to, which adds to the difficulty and then adds to the UX problem of like going into the menu and finding the stuff you need. So it's good. I think if you like stuff like type help or the root trees are dead or whatever's going on there, that style of game, Curse of the Golden Idol, like give it a check. I think it's great. And also, you know what? I could use more games where you hunt Nazis. I miss it.
There's a lot of them.
Where's Wolfenstein?
There's a lot of them.
We need more. We need more.
I mean, we could always use more video games. That's true.
Exactly.
But
That's
like,
what I'm
let's not,
saying.
let's not say that there's not there's plenty
not
of other
enough.
people who could be hunting. Let's do one about hunting the English. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Hunting Cromwell.
See, now you're putting
Cromwell
all right.
hunting. You know.
All right.
Let's not always go for the Nazis. It's a bit of a like tapping Western hegemony on the back. You know what I mean? Like I get it.
I was thinking about that a little bit actually, because like
the one
there are
thing you
games-
guys did that was cool and nice.
Hey, did you hear about those Nazis we killed though?
Remember when we
that
were
was pretty
great?
sick, wasn't it?
Yeah. Remember how cool we were? I was thinking about that a little bit with games like this of like, how do you morally create a system in which a player is hunting somebody down? Like if it's not the Nazis, it's a little like, okay.
It is really, I was going to bring this up because there are historical examples of Nazi hunting like this.
Right.
And it is a very interesting, morally complex thing because a lot of these instances were the like Israeli equivalent of the CIA were basically could not extradite people from South America that they suspected or had confirmed were Nazis, and they would go do like extrajudicial executions and extractions
Of these like guys in like hiding in the like Argentinian jungle or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. So like there are a lot of if you look up Nazi hunters from the like 70s and stuff, there are a lot of these sort of ex-Nazis who end up in Argentina and Brazil and stuff who end up, like dead by suicide or like black bagged. There was one guy who they drugged him and they managed to drug him sufficiently that they got him on like a commercial flight and flew him back to Israel to face trial and stuff. So it is this very weird version of like, usually spy fiction is kind of like glorified. It's James Bond and he's the suave spy, and then there's like the evil Mads Mikkelsen with the scar on his face. But this is like, it is doing things in the wrong way but to terrible people. So you're like, fuck, I disagree with your methods, but like, fuck those guys. But like, this is fucking, I don't know. It's weird and morally interesting.
Yeah, and a weird part of that in the Ratline actually is like, you don't know what these people have done. You have no context for, obviously they're Nazis, so you know what they did, but like, you don't know really what's going on. You're just sent these dossiers by this random person, no context. You sort of just are reading letters between family, like, oh, there's this company that they worked for and they're sending them over here and like they're hiding them in these. So like that part of it, it's almost not enough context for you to know why you're doing or what you're doing. Maybe that's a narrative reveal down the line, but just the opening of it, I felt very uncomfortable.
Another payday here in New Jersey.
I'm just doing what I was told, but I'm good.
Now I'm picturing the end of this game. They're like, you killed the one, he was the least bad Nazi. Don't you feel morally
exactly.
complicit?
None of these
like,
people were Nazis.
not really.
They all just went to like a World War II recreation group. You know what I mean?
This guy, he was the chef, all right? And he didn't even
like
want to
German
do
history.
it.
Exactly. It'll just be like a Heart of Darkness style reveal that you've actually been murdering all of these like innocent people.
No!
That's cool.
That would be funny if you did the game badly and you're like, this Brazilian, you just extradited to like a Brazilian man.
Pele.
like to do it. Yeah.
You just shot Pele.
That wasn't a pseudonym. That was just Pele.
Exactly. Why did you think he was a Nazi? Ridiculous. The Ratline.
Bad vibes.
Available now. It's $15 with 20% off at the moment until the end of the month, till March 31st. You can pick it up for $11.99. There's also a demo of the Ratline, which according to Lucas Pope, quote, I loved every minute of the demo, unquote. So there you go.
Wow.
Every minute.
Huge praise.
Could be a 5-minute demo. Not that impressive.
Yeah.
Probably
True.
not. Probably not, though. There you go. The Ratline, available now on Steam. Let's go from Nazis to trains. Trains. Nazis had nothing to do with trains.
Nope.
That is a terrible segue.
Yeah, you started
I
it,
mean, it's
and
an
I was like,
amazing segue, but it's horrible at the same time.
Fuck. I didn't realize.
You know what the Nazis knew a lot about?
God damn
Trains.
Frank,
Jesus.
please help me. Densha,
What's okay? It's the Japanese, so it's less bad, right? Wait a second. Hold
Densha
on.
de Go.
No.
Densha de Go. Let's Pokemon Go had to walk for Densha de Go to run. Densha de Go is the sort of long, lived Japan. It's like from the 90s originally, right? Japanese train simulation, franchise. I feel like this has existed in sort of funny magazine articles and like now Instagram shorts for years of people playing these things in arcades or psychopaths who get train controllers at home so they can play this. Which Densha de Go have you been playing, and how have you been Densha de going about it?
So this is the 2020 version that was released on PS4, which is the home console port of the 2017 arcade version, which I think is like the current version that's in arcades today.
Okay.
Occasionally it'll be at like at conventions and stuff too, but yeah, I've seen them firsthand in Akihabara of like people go inside the booth, like the actual arcade. There's like a slimmed down version, but there's a full scale. Like you go inside a train booth and there's 4 screens and it's like the exact same layout as the JR. So the version
are the
I'm
4
playing
screens in front of you, or are they you're like surrounded by
no, so it's
them?
like there's like I think it's like 2 in front and then a left screen and then a right screen.
Wow.
So it's like and you can close the stall and it's such a legit contraption. And then even as far back as I think on PlayStation and N64, Dreamcast, there's always been, and there's a Switch version. There's always like a home in the 90s every game had peripherals. There's a train controller which mimics the actual train thing, but I'm just using the PS4 controller. And different trains will have different like mechanisms. The default train you start with is like you pull down the left stick to brake, up on the left stick to accelerate. There's some trains you have to pull down on the left stick to accelerate, right on the right thumbstick to brake.
Oh, wow.
It's like so great. So Densha de Go is a game I've always wanted to play. I knew there's a PS4 port. But it's a game that's like pretty popular, so you don't find it often at like the secondhand stores. The way I specifically found it, I looked all over Akihabara, I couldn't find it. When I was in Nagoya, I couldn't find it. I found it in Kyoto, but also trying to track down import games in Japan is hard if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. But the thing I noticed is Densha de Go is a VR game. It also has Go on the title,
no way.
but I literally looked at every single PS4 game with the VR thing on the spine. So I would just keep picking it up. It was a lot of like Gran Turismo. I forget what the other VR games were. And I just kept, every time I was in a game store that had PS4 games, I just kept pulling out, and by process, I would find other games I was looking for. But I pulled out all the spines, and eventually in Kyoto, I found the train game, and it was like holy. And funny enough, the Surugai in Kyoto had 2 copies. But I bought one, and I was so happy. I came home and played it, and because I'd just been in the habit when I was in Japan of just always pulling out Google Translate to like do it. Like the game is not in English text, it's just Japanese text. So the first hour was kind of hard because I had to like play the tutorial, but every step of the tutorial, pull out my phone, Google Translate, Google Translate, it's tedious. But then after about like 3 hours or so of playing it, I'm at a point now where I'm clearing most missions first try.
Nice.
The game has like, I don't know what you call story mode, quest mode, whatever, but like the default mode is like there's 5 chapters. And it's almost like the way like a map is on Super Mario World or whatever. Like you select it. Sometimes there's alternate routes where you can go and then do different harder trains or harder missions. And there's things you unlock. But So now I think I'm on like chapter 3. I think there's 5 in total. And like once the game clicked, I was so happy.
Hey, Frank,
the way they,
I want to do, I think you're about to talk about it, but I want to go around the wheel with everyone here.
Yes.
And I want each of us to guess one gameplay element of what this game is.
Cool.
Okay. And because I'm like, what could a train video game possibly be doing? So, Jeremy, do you want to go first? What do you think would be in a video game where you are the driver of Japanese trains?
Okay, so if it was an American train, my answer would be yelling at the passengers for rowdy conduct and for having a Beats by Dre pill that they were blasting rap music on. I would say that you're trying to like land the train in the exact right spot would be my guess. That's probably the core game mechanic here, right?
Frank, is it?
Yeah, so that's like I would say like 30% of the game is like
Nice.
Is that like there's a bunch of stuff on the way, but that is like the ending detail. I can land on that, but did Jesse or Danny also want to guess elements too?
Okay.
Yeah. Do you smoke cigarettes a bunch while you're in the? I mean, you got to do something to pass the time. Not that it's that much time.
Have you ever smoked a cigarette in VR? That feels like it's an accident waiting to happen. You know?
If you're holding
Sounds
the move
cool.
stick, yeah.
If I saw someone wearing a VR HMD smoking a cig, I'd be like, that guy is cool.
I'd be
That's
worried that
cyberpunk as fuck, man.
I don't know. I'd worry that some of the PSVR had like fabric or something. You know, that I'd set my face on fire and I didn't realize. Do you smoke cigarettes in this game, Frank?
There's no cigarettes. I think even
bullshit.
I think there's even no smoking signs on the trains.
Boo.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
So I'm guessing you can go fast and slow. So are there speed limits you have to sort of stick to? Okay, there is. He's nodding.
So that's a big part of it. So the gameplay loop of Densha de Go, at least the current mission mode, maybe it's the same thing as the arcade mode, is like you'll start a mission and it'll show the map and it's based on the real Yamanote line around Tokyo. I think this game has 4 different lines that connect to the Yamanote. I'm still in the early part of the game, so I'm just doing the Yamanote loop. It'll show you like the station map, and there'll be like 4 stations. So it's almost like 4 levels of this mission. So say the first thing is like Akihabara to Ueno or whatever. And it's funny because it's all exactly as the real Yamanote line is. So the mission starts, you're on the train, and then you have like a rear view like camera that shows the doors open and passengers getting in. So the first thing starts and it's like the announcement like, all right, now boarding this train to this station. And doors open, passengers go in. If you try to accelerate, you're gonna get like pinged. So at the top of the screen, you have like a health bar, and the premise is you have your health bar's in the green. Okay. By the time you land at the next station, you want to make sure that's in the green. If it stays in the red, you fail the mission. So you have to wait for the passengers to go in. And then once it does, like a signal goes and you have to press triangle. Triangle is like you're acknowledging like whether that's speed limits, whether it's acknowledging your train staff or whatever. So you have to, and it's the same thing like at the real train stations where there's people or guards watching and they do a thing where it's like achika, gachika, gochika. I don't know the exact thing, but it's like check to the left, check to the right, all clear, go. So you have to like confirm with the station attendant, like everything's good, go. You hit triangle, that's like done. No one else is getting on. The doors are shut. You can go on. Then you start left on the D-pad to accelerate, and then you can start going. There's speed limits. As speed limits shift, you'll see like a sign like, oh, up right now you're going 6 miles per hour or 60 kilometers an hour. Up ahead is 70. You have to acknowledge. All right, I acknowledge the speed limit's coming up.
Okay.
You have to shift. Sometimes there's sections where you have to maintain a certain speed limit at this time. That was like the last thing I didn't realize. Like I kept getting dinged on a bunch of stuff, and I'd try to pull out my phone to like figure it out, but it would disappear too fast. So it's like once I learned these little elements, my score kept getting better. You're judged like A through E or whatever. You also have a horn, so you use your horn for a few elements. One is if there's like maintenance workers on the railroad on the tracks, you have to like give them a heads up or acknowledge like, oh hey, just caution.
What if you don't give them a heads up?
You have like a little like chibi mascot that's like your Navi to like Link and Zelda. You have like a little like anime.
Don't
girl.
murder these workers.
Yeah. So and like,
oh my God.
if you do anything that upsets her, that's like your health bar. She'll cry and it'll be a little heartbreaks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to play this game for you guys. Like, yeah. She'll make noises and there'll be a sad heartbreak. And if you do the right thing, you get hearts, and you're judged by how many hearts you get. You're hurting the train's feelings if you disobey.
is actually what train drivers see when they wear the special glasses they're given on their first day.
It's like that one. Who's the character in TF2 where is it the flame? I haven't played
Pyro. Yeah. I told you Frank has seen this too, obviously, because we were at Valve together. The kiddie play area that they have in Valve is set up like Pyroland, which is the fake bubble and rainbows version of reality that he sees when he's burning everyone.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
That's actually what the kids area looks like in Valve, which is pretty awesome.
With the horn, in addition to the railway workers, if there's like train enthusiasts, like if you're passing a bridge and there's like a little kid waving at the train, you're supposed to honk.
You can honk at them.
Oh, that's cute. Game of the year, game of forever. That's awesome.
And then as you're landing the station, if there's anyone that's like too close to the potential train jumpers, if there's anyone too close to the ledge or they're hanging above, you're supposed to honk the horn. Like,
wait. Yeah. Does anyone ever jump in front of the train? Are there?
No, that is
okay.
not
I was gonna
in
say
the game.
that would be fucking insane.
I was about to
like,
say it as a joke.
very
like what's the actual thing that train drivers worry about every day? But
if they're not going to do it, then what's the threat? Who cares?
So you're saying,
do it. Do it.
So you're saying that they're just like hanging out, like you're honking it. Like what happens if like the person close to the edge, you just get dinged? Do you? It just says
I think it's a heartbreak if you didn't warn them. They're not going to actually jump in. There's no fail-safe penalty.
Okay.
Like I was on the Wikipedia. On the Wikipedia, it was saying like when they first made the game, they were gonna have like reckless modes where you can just skip past stations, but they're like, oh no, let's not do that, and it's pretty straightforward.
I can't stop this train. If I stop this train, it'll explode. Speed 2.
They should have a speed.
That'd be a
mode.
great mode.
Yeah.
They have a, what was the other thing? We already talked about the Japanese subway thing a couple of weeks ago, so maybe we shouldn't go there.
Oh God, you have to stop that.
So it's kind of like an endless runner in a way, because it's like you're going forward and then like problems are coming at you and you have to like react well to the problem.
It's a lot like life.
Exactly.
And it kind of feels like a rhythm game because so much of the timing, like you don't want to like honk the horn too early, then the person's not going to hear you. Another thing, if another train is coming at you, you're supposed to dim the lights so you're not blinding the other train, and then you're timed on how fast you put the lights back on. But then the main thing is like you're adjusting your speed as it going. Sometimes it's like super tricky where it's like you're going 70 miles per hour, you have to maintain 55 here, and then the next zone is 30. So you have to like, oh shit, clock it. And if you accidentally go above the speed limit, the little anime girl cries, and then you're dinged a bunch of hearts, and your speed goes. If you try to slow down too fast, the anime girl cries, and like you hear the brakes skid, and that dings your meter. But the core part of it is you're supposed to get to the station. I didn't know this. When I started playing, I thought it was like Crazy Taxi. Like, oh, get there as fast as possible.
Like slam the brake.
I was really doing that. It was like, great, I got like 30 seconds to spare, and I got dinged. Like, no, you're supposed to land within like 10 seconds, because if you're too early, that legitimately throws off the schedule of the train. So I didn't know that. Again, all this is in Japanese. There's all these loading screens and text. So I'm just learning
it's a
by
screaming
doing.
Japanese character at me every time I don't honk at the child at the right time.
Like it's just stuff you have to figure out. But I've put so much time into it now. I'm like, oh, I've seen the map. Now I want to play at the real arcade. And then the core thing is like you're supposed to get within, I would say like 500 centimeters or 500 meters. You're supposed to, of breaking it. And so as you get to the station, you're supposed to slow down, and then like I'm getting the timer a little bit better, and you can see like your speed versus how many actual kilometers you are or meters to the stopping point. And then if you land like within like 5 meters within 5 seconds, you get like so many hearts and stuff. Oh. And then like and then it's got like this cool replay where it shows the train coming into the station from like 10 different angles.
Brilliant.
And like it's just all the UI sound effects, and if you pass, you get like rainbows, and it's like,
damn, that's juice.
So
talk about juice. That's fucking juice. The hit with the rainbows.
And if you fail it, it's like black and white, and the anime girl cries. Like it's so satisfying. So like the actual core missions, you do like 3 stations in a row, and then you pass. You can, if you fuck up in the last one, you fail the whole mission, you restart. Each like station to stations within like 2 minutes, and it's 2 scale. So there's one that's like 30 seconds. I don't know if it's a Harajuku to whatever. But like another reason I like it is just like, anytime I'm not in Japan, I'm just constantly playing games or consuming Japanese media so that it feels like I'm eternally in Japan. So I've been playing this game every single day, which is like my loop when I was in Japan. Every morning you wake up, you go on the train to some destination, you take the train back. So it's like, it's so great. And it's the exact same voiceover. Like the like voice recording is like, oh, next station,
cool.
whatever. So it's just
That's
like
awesome.
They say it in Japanese and then English. So it's just like, the only thing it's missing is the jingles. I don't know if there's copyright or licensing stuff. Sometimes like there is some jingles that is the actual Astro Boy theme and other stuff. So there could be like music licensing issues. I think the Shimbash, the one that drops you off at Tokyo Dome, is like Take Me Out to the Ball Game in real life. But there's a lot of so the jingles aren't in there, but everything else is there. The actual trains, the JR. And then yesterday I finally got to like the Akihabara level. I was like, holy shit, this is my station. This is my stop.
That's cool.
So yeah, I love Densha to Go. Now I want to play it in real life. And
You want to drive a real train in Japan?
Oh no, I mean no.
You mean in the arcade, but you should do that.
I thought you meant to drive a real train. I was like, you should
steal a train in Tokyo, Frank.
I think you could do it. I think you could land a train.
If I grew up in Japan, that's like I could totally see getting a job for the JR. Like it's like
Tamori Hussein used to work for Transport for London in the tubes, so you could do it.
There you go. Yeah. That means you can do it.
Yeah,
it's possible. Like,
well, I mean, he's a Pakistani guy in London, and he managed to get a job in the fucking tube. So yeah, if you could do it.
I didn't know it was that bad there on the Prejudice.
Oh yeah, he used to. That motherfucker used to fuck. When we lived in East London, he used to take the train. He used to work at GameStop in Shepherd's Bush, so he used to take the Central line the whole way over to West London. He had to leave like 30 minutes early every day just in case they got him for stop and search, because it used to happen all the fucking time.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Shit.
I never got stopped and search. Little fucking second generation IRA motherfucker walking around, and then he was getting pulled over all the time. So yeah, I don't know. Did they let Gaijins ride trains in there? I mean, ride trains, I'm sure. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
You just have to keep your damn mouth shut. I feel like they see you get on the train, they're like, he's going to start talking about baseball or something.
Yeah, don't talk about your favorite anime.
I don't know. I know for a lot of jobs, you generally need very, very advanced like language requirements.
Right.
But I found out you don't need the low language to get a permanent residency card. So
there you go.
But yeah, I could see myself if I grew up in Japan, like I would absolutely want to work for the JR. Like in the Murakami book where he interviews all the victims of the subway bombings, a lot of the people who worked at the station talked about like, yeah, as a kid, my parents took me on the train. I wanted to work for the JR, and when it was my time to do the job, I threw away the trash and got sick, but I did it in my duty.
Oh, that's crazy!
Like,
wow.
But they talk about so much about like the JR and stuff, and so like I really love riding the train. Everyone who visits falls in love with the train system, so it's so cool. Like now to come back and I have this train game that I love, and like you can order copies off eBay for $60. I think it's just resellers shipping it overseas. I really recommend it. It's also on Switch. It would be crazy to play it in VR, but
there is a Switch controller.
Oh yeah.
I was checking eBay a couple of minutes ago and I saw the Switch. That's crazy. So that's amazing. Yeah, and you played on PlayStation 4, so it's PSVR 1, I'm guessing.
Yeah, PSVR 1 compatible, which I think there is like a special link cable that you had to apply. I have it. I've never used it.
Oh yeah.
But if you don't have VR 2, you can use the VR 1 link cable. I don't think I ever will, but I do have it as an option. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's a really great Tokyo game, so I love it.
Densha de Go.
Sorry, I just had one more question. Is this all like speed trains, or are you ever operating like a steam train? Like what's the deal there?
There is in one of the side paths, you're operating like older trains, but it's all like relatively contemporary. I don't even know, like it'll say it's like Gran Turismo nerd stuff where it's like, oh, there's the 1971 whatever. But like, and the UI is different on the older trades. Like it does feel very much more. It's weird to say steampunk, but it's like, oh, this looks like an old train. But I don't think it's like super old. I don't think there's also Shinkansen trains. It's just straight up like what is on the actual subway.
Is there a bullet train version of this thing, like inner city or something?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there is. I know there's also a bunch of like different like non-Densha to Go Steam games on Steam that are Japan railway simulators.
Okay.
But again, there's so many levels and stuff, and I feel like I'm just still playing to unlock it. There's even like a flyer in the thing for like DLC and like all these different trains you can get.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like there's so much to discover in this game. So I don't know. I gotta keep playing it. But
Did you imagine reacting in the bullet train, like having to hit the horn? You're going like 300 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, it's like speed of sound.
Oh, that'd be so sick.
They need to make a Densha to Go Tokimeki Memorial crossover where after your job driving the train, you like go on a date with a girl who's like, "Oh my god, you drive the train? That's so cool. How'd you do at work today?" And then the date quality is determined by the quality of your work because she doesn't respect you if you're a shitty train driver.
Yeah, like you're going across Japan and every town there's a new like date. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
It's just dating your way across Japan as a train driver.
They should make an American truck driving one where it's just,
No, you just stopping at the gas station.
Lot Lizard 2026, you know?
Perfect. Great. Awesome.
Yeah. I like that.
All right.
I'd play that.
All right. Densha to Go. Available now in Japan. Pick it up. And probably, I'll be honest, watch watch Frank. We should record a video for that for if not on the public channel, at least for patrons. I think that's pretty wild. That's a super interesting thing. So let's do that. That'll be a lot of fun. Jeremy Jane, speaking of World of Warcraft, this would have been a way better segue Because have you actually been playing World of Warcraft again recently?
I have. So the game I'm working on takes some design inspiration from my history of playing retro MMOs back in the day. As a kid, I was obsessed with MMORPGs. This was not like WoW didn't come out and I was like, holy fuck, I love, StarCraft and Warcraft. I got to play this. I was playing Dark Age of Camelot when I was like, I don't know, 9 years old or whatever. Which is weird because as I was getting back into MMOs now as a 35-year-old man, I was picturing if the people I was talking to in game were like a 9-year-old boy, how weird I would feel about that. And then I was like, that was like I was like hitting people and being like, what's up, dude? They're like, they didn't know I was like a little like baby. I don't know. I thought that was fucking weird. But no, I played a shit ton of MMOs. I played a little bit of Ultima Online. It was a little too heady for me as a kid, but Dark Age of Camelot, Anarchy Online, EverQuest, the works. Nice. I was radicalized into this sicko disease by my friend Sully. His dad was like an EverQuest sicko, and he would let us play EverQuest on his account, but he would like backseat the fuck out of us. Like he would stand behind us, and he'd be like, "Yeah, no, don't go in there. No, don't do that." And it was like so stressful.
Were you playing his character?
I guess so. I don't really remember. I was very young.
That's amazing.
I just remember the insane stress of being like, this game is like the most interesting thing in the world, but there's an adult, there's a man who is like, doesn't like an unfiltered adult behind me, not being like, oh, these are kids. I need to, it just being like, no, don't do that. No, you're gonna die if you go in there. Just like the stress
All
of it.
His
so when I finally get to play,
just getting poured onto you.
Just that's why I'm such a neurotic fucking mess as an adult. But playing these games, when I started playing them on my own, was like being let off the leash in these worlds. Like there was something about MMOs that was very magical to me as a kid. And I think a big part of it was the openness of their design. Like you said, World of Warcraft and its actual game design is quite simple, where you're going around, you're doing, one of like 5. It's like get the thing, hit the thing, interact with the thing, or go to the place, or that's kind of the whole gamut of World of Warcraft quest types. But there was something about their openness. They were quite sandboxy in nature. And it's been very interesting coming back to them because I had never played Final Fantasy XIV, even when we did the doc. You did all the capture for that, I believe.
Oh, boy.
And I haven't played
Sounded
World
like
of
you loved
Warcraft.
it.
It was a lot for somebody who had never. I'd played World of Warcraft, but like I hadn't played a Japanese MMO and I hadn't played a Final Fantasy game. So trying to, I will say, in the year since, I did the much more difficult for a project that, I can't talk about. But I played another Korean MMO for a long period of time, and that was even more fucking crazy than Final Fantasy 14 was. But it was a lot of work for sure.
Yeah, 14 is a lot of, having recently played the first like 12-ish hours of it, there are a lot of, if you've never, it's the blend of Final Fantasy and Asian MMO is a very particular flavor, and I think if you're alien to either of those flavors, that it's like it's a lot to digest. World of Warcraft's new expansion Midnight came out recently, and my friends have been begging me to play it with them. I mentioned playing Fellowship with them, and they were kind of like, listen, if this was even cooler, that's like what Mythic Plus Dungeons are.
Okay.
Mythic Plus Dungeons are sort of the end game, endlessly scaling 5-man dungeons at the end of end game of WoW. So I was like, I'll think about it. So I was kind of just like dipping my toes in the water a little bit and firing up retail WoW. Sort of out of like curiosity as well, because I hear a lot of people talk about how it's changed over the years and how, they have WoW Classic now. And that's sort of the, if you're 35, you can log on and relive your
Is that what you're
days.
Playing, or are you on the main?
No.
Okay.
I played a little bit of retail, although I was thinking that it's funny that, when you talk to someone who grew up in like, the 60s, early 70s, like the Summer of Love and stuff, that's like, oh man, like there'll never be anything like it again. I feel like my version of that is playing MMORPGs in the late 90s and early 2000s, which is kind of a pathetic comparison, but truly, I don't know if it'll ever be that good again.
So you're saying vanilla WoW is like, or playing WoW Classic is like the Woodstock 99 of the Summer of Love.
yeah, exactly. Like fucking, Limp Bizkit's there, and you're getting quests from them to go kill kobolds and take their candles. So playing retail has been very weird because it feels like I'm going back to my childhood home, but now my childhood home is like a museum that's themed after my childhood rather than my actual childhood home. It is weird to like revisit the sort. It's like someone made like a mannequin out of my taxidermied grandfather.
Wow.
Is how I would describe the experience. Not
In a good way?
No, in a creepy way. Here's the thing. It still feels very like the combat feels like polished and amazing like it always has. There is something strange about it where what I've noticed between 14 and this, I'm having a good time with both of them, by the way. I should say that. It's just that like the friction I'm feeling is that these games feel like they have transitioned from this very sort of like early PC game sandbox openness approach into a much more hands-on railroaded approach where World of Warcraft retail now has like a tutorial island that you go to, and there's like a sort of like mini like quest line series where like Jaina Proudmoore is like you have to save this person from the harpies, and like it's like this very weird experience where it's trying to make you feel like the hero at level 1 through 10. And I feel like the fun of an MMO is like being almost Kenshi like is like being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're going and hitting kobolds because you're a level 2 paladin. Like you can't go save the day.
Dude, you feel like because also you're walking around in those early areas and usually you're seeing people who are like a couple of levels higher than you already. And then you feel like, okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's the thing about the tutorial island too, is having this siloed off experience. It feels like like seeing you're level 2 and you see like a level 7 guy and you're like, holy shit, look at the cool moves he's doing. Like having that sort of parallel experience, I think, is an important part of the like cognitive framing of an MMO, that you are aspiring to be like these higher level players. And so having this like tutorials, after I made several characters to try different classes and see what they were like these days, it gave me the option to start in Elwyn Forest as a human. So I think maybe the tutorial zone isn't like forced upon you forever or whatever. But it was, I don't know, it was just weird having this like intro cutscene, and it's both this and 14 are very heavily tutorialized. And I feel like it's so unnecessary as an MMO veteran, and I understand having an onboarding experience is important. I think that what the problem for me is that they're trying to broaden the appeal of these games, and they're trying to create a big tent MMO that welcomes people in, and they're like, hey, you've never played this? That's all right. You don't have to be like a fucking weird sicko whose friend's dad yelled at you while you played EverQuest. You can just like learn this game like a normal person. But personally, I feel like part of the fun of the experience for me was playing these games and being completely like a babe in the woods and not knowing what the fuck is going on. And now if you like, a friend of mine very generously bought Midnight for me last night because I was like, I just can't justify spending the money on it, and he just gifted it to me. So thank you, Cake, if you're listening, which you're not. But as soon as I level boosted a character to 80 because I'm not gonna fucking play 80 levels of retail alone. And when you start in Midnight at level 80, it gives you a highlight that obviously you get like a full level 80 set of spells, right? So I don't know any of these fucking spells because it's not my character essentially. Right. I just made it. And it gives you like a rotation where it's like, all right, now do this move. All right, now do this move. Now do this move.
Really?
Dude, there is a thing now. It's called one button assist or something.
Off.
Where I swear to fucking God,
this like a macro.
This pissed me off so fucking much. It's just you just spam one button and it casts the next spell, the next optimal spell in your spell bar. And listen, I get it. I'm not making like a Dark Souls like, oh, it's fucking cool because it's hard, and if you can't get good, then fucking play something else, dude. That's not the argument I'm making at all. But I do think that some level of friction is important just as like a game design tool. And so I think, I'm excited to try the Mythic Plus dungeons. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm not like talking shit because I feel like the focus for WoW now is so much on the end game. Leveling 1 to 80 now, the new cap is 90, but 1 to 80, people say it's like 20 hours or less to get there.
It's like the complete inverse problem of almost every other online game, where people rinse through, like whether it's Destiny or Arc Raiders or Marathon or any, people are like, what the fuck? There's nothing to do. There's nothing to fucking do. And then World of Warcraft is like, we got to get you through this shit as quickly as possible because we have been helping these fucking sickos who play this game, like who spend 90% of their time at levels. What is it now? 75? What's the?
90 is the
90
new
is the new one.
Midnight.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, exactly. It's because they've been servicing the end game for so long that it feels like the the scales are so balanced towards servicing endgame now that it's like, all right, if you're new to this game, just fucking here's like the driver's ed crash course. Like, let's just get you to the end game. And for me, that feels like a betrayal of what MMOs are about, which is so much about the journey. Like you said, like I have the same experience that for me playing games as a kid, like MMOs especially, and any sort of like open world game as a kid, it was so much, it gave me the same feeling of like wandering in the woods. And I think that's why I really liked them, because it was like cresting over a hill and being like, holy shit, there's like a pond down there. We got to go there. And that was the joy of these games for me, was going into Lakeshire for the first time, and like going up on the hill and being like, dude, we got to take a screenshot. This is fucking crazy.
Yes.
You know, like it was about the journey. And I feel like now
I want to play Big Walk again suddenly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think optimizing that so much and making the focus of questing so sort of like single player oriented and story oriented creates situations where it has to be more sort of like, it feels more like a AAA single player experience where I was playing Final Fantasy 14 with Chelsea because she used to play it a bunch back in the day. And they do like level scaling, so we could run dungeons together, even though we have different character levels and whatever. But like I was like, we should go, you want to like make a new character and quest with me? And she was like, that's not really how it works. And I didn't really understand what she meant. But as we were going through it, every time I would get to like a new story quest, there would be like a boss fight to instance into, and I couldn't bring her with me.
Oh, yeah.
Funny.
And which is weird because my experience playing MMO and my friends, when they were trying to get me into Midnight, I was like, oh, we'll all get like Midnight and we'll like do the campaign together. And they're like, no. We'll all do the campaign separately. And I was like, isn't that what you, like, you fucking meet people at Lakeshire and you like kill Hogger together? Isn't that like what you do in an MMO? And they're like, no, that's not like how it is anymore.
That's weird.
I thought that was so
because 14 has like a ton of situations where you have to build a party, or you can use NPC characters now, especially through the early expansions. So that's interesting.
About
but there are certainly moments where like you have to go do it yourself.
Yeah. Well, so I've played 12 hours of 14, and I've done some, dungeons. Obviously, you like make a party and stuff. But are you saying that the quests eventually get to a point where you have to party up for them as well?
Yeah, it's probably late base and like some of whatever the first expansion's called, where like there will be raid quests where you do have to go find other players to do it with you, or you can use NPC AI stuff.
That's good to hear, because it felt like in the first 12 hours it was so heavily slanted towards
first 12
like
hours. That's like 0.1% of the game,
That's
dude.
Tutorial Island, motherfucker.
I got videos to edit. I got games to make. 12 hours was all I could squeeze in the last couple of weeks. But anyway, yeah, it's just an interesting. It's no country for old fucking gamers is how I'm feeling over here.
Man, that should be the name of our new podcast. Where we just go back and play old game. No country for old gamers. That is so
That's
lame
what we're missing.
and great. I love
It's
it.
just lame enough to be perfect.
Can I just, not to constantly be bringing it back to The Legend of California, but that is something that I think I was telling somebody about this that I didn't bring up when I was talking to everyone else. One of the things I really like about it is that very World of Warcraft feeling of I'm not meant to be here yet. Like, because there is no like gating between the areas, like, and also like the leveling system is also semi opaque. Like there is there are like, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 challenges that are associated with your outpost. So like doing a certain amount of fishing, for instance, or killing this many types of animals, building a mine, doing sort of these things. But there's nothing stopping. They don't prohibit you from going anywhere. You can start the game and run straight into level 4 if you want. But the problem is you're going to run into like an animal, and the animals are also like per section, right? So like the bears in 4, there's not bears in level 1 because you just get murdered by them. It's all fucking bunny rabbits and foxes. But that feeling of being a low level Elwyn character and crossing the stream to Duskwood and kind of like going slowly because you're trying to get to the town so you can like get quests or buy something. It's 1 for 1 with this, because I've been like trying to find, when you go into an area, it'll tell you there are places of interest here and here and here. But those could be enemy encampments, or they could be a town where you can buy something, or like a shop where you can buy something. But like 9 times out, a quarter of the time, maybe they're a town, maybe less. So you spend a lot of time wandering into these areas, trying not to get killed. That's what I was doing. I was still kind of like in level 1E crossing into 2, but I was in level 3 areas looking for the right shop because I was trying to get a mining blueprint. And it was really cool. It felt like, oh, I'm not meant to be here. Like, that
Yeah,
strangle
that's like the
thorn
joy
and
of
stuff.
exploring.
When you're trying to get to Booty Bay for the first time and you're like, fuck, these fucking raptors are everywhere.
Yeah, I went up to a Griffin and I walked to Westfall just for old time's
Nice.
sake to, like when you're in town, a city you used to live in, you got to go check out your old haunt and see what new restaurants are there. And I went to get the Griffin flight path, and when I clicked on it, it looked like I had every flight path in Eastern Kingdoms already on my map. I didn't click on them all and see if I could travel to all of them. But I was like, fuck, if you can just like fast travel anywhere, it just feels like to me, it's like that clip that people were circulating around at the time that Classic surfaced, where at BlizzCon, someone from the team was being asked during the Q&A, like, will there ever be something where, like old World of Warcraft, where you have to like spam in general chat, like looking for one more for dead mines for 2 hours or whatever. And who I can't remember who, I'm not going to attribute this to quote to anyone because I can't remember who the fuck said it, but someone on the Blizzard team was like, you think you want that back, but you actually don't. And I think that is it's a misunderstanding of, I think there are a sect of people who do want a more, jump in, jump out, casual version of this type of experience. But I think there really is an undervaluing of what makes those old frictional experiences really special. And I think it's not just that those games were old and that's the way it was done now and we've moved past it. It creates a real special feeling. It's, if you go for a 12-mile hike and you order a shitty pizza after, the pizza tastes better.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
So I think that, it's not artificial difficulty. I don't think you make an easy game and then design it artificially to be harder. But I think creating games which are designed around these frictional experiences around like pushing your luck, getting to a new Griffin outpost and being like, holy fuck, I'm not supposed to be here. I can't believe we got that. Yeah. Now I've got the outpost for when I'm, 12 levels higher or whatever. It feels special. It feels earned. And it creates, for me, it creates like memories. Like the things that I think back on are memories of like doing things I wasn't supposed to, or doing things out of order, or playing my way, rather than just sort of being like catered to or like pandered to in some sense.
And I often bring up Arc Raiders. I've played almost 300 hours of this game since it came out, so like it's just a game that I've been experiencing a lot. But like that reminds me a bit of like the quests in Arc Raiders are so rudimentary. Like it's a lot of like kind of wow stuff of like pick a certain amount of things, kill a certain amount of things, right? Things like that. And like the amount of times it's not the quests in and of themselves are not that interesting, but they sometimes provide the tension through which really interesting social things happen. Like one of the things that like I find funniest about Arc Raiders is trying to find fucking mushrooms. There's one upgrade for the chicken where you have to get like 12 mushrooms. And mushrooms are like hard to find. They're like there's like sometimes they spawn, but they're kind of hard to see sometimes because you can't read. They're white and they're in trees. You spend a lot of time in trees. They're not like lemons where there's usually like 10 lemon trees and you can just go around kicking the trees and get like, they're just individual. And then there's this one area in the northmost of the spaceport map where there is 100% respawn rate of mushrooms. And if you get on servers with people, they are always running straight towards that part. Like not everyone is, but like there are some people who are loading in, instantly killing themselves because they clearly are too far from the mushroom spawn. Someone else is going to get it. And I was playing a couple of weeks ago and I went and I landed in the mushroom area and I don't need the mushrooms anymore. And I was like, should I get the mushrooms? I'll wait a minute, see if someone comes. No one came. Okay, I'm going to go get the mushrooms. Go to get the mushrooms. I'm running set somewhere else and I see someone in the corner of my eye sprinting like fucking like their life depended on it towards the mushrooms. And I stop and wait and I see them go down and then I see them like Charlie Brown style like coming up the stairs with no stamina. And I went over and I was like, you're looking for the mushrooms, aren't you? And they're like, they didn't have voice chat, so they were like, yes, using the thing. And I was like, and I dropped them. I had like 3 mushrooms. I was like, there you go. I don't need them. And they were like spamming, like, thank you. And then nice. Ran to the extract. So like, yeah, it's funny how like in the pursuit of, I don't know, when you have a game that is they're the Final Fantasy and they're stripping the single player so that it's predominantly, a single player experience, or World of Warcraft is making experience where you can almost play it second screen, it kind of sounds like, between the tutorial and this one button shit. Like you don't have those moments in Baron's chat or in Westfall chat where you're asking people, to come to Dead Mines, and then like you said, the pizza doesn't taste as good because you didn't have to struggle. You just went there, pressed a button, auto partied, or you did it solo or whatever. And yeah, like I understand why they do that with the scale of players they're trying to get, but it is less special, right? It doesn't, and like mushrooms, the mushroom quest shit. So you just have to go get mushrooms, but it can create these special moments because there has that tension is there with the players.
I and it feels counterintuitive, I think, as a sort of like consideration of the player, that you're like, you want it to be convenient for them. So like an example is not only that there's like a dungeon finder now, but when you queue for PvP, you used to have to like go to a physical place where the PvP queue was at, and it was like, okay, you would get in the mindset, we're gonna go do PvP for a while because we're gonna make the trip to wherever it was in like Ironforge or whatever.
Totally.
And now if you can queue anywhere, it's like, oh, well, I'll queue, and then like while the queue ticks down, I'll just like quest and stuff.
Wow.
I think that there's a lack of intentionality when you make everything too easy. Yeah, it's interesting. I see the point of it. And the last thing I'll say about it is that I was curious about the age demographics of MMOs while I was playing 14. So I tried to Google it, and coincidentally enough, there was a poll on the 14 subreddit from like 2 days prior to when I looked it up of the age demographics. And it was mostly like, I think it was like 27 to 35 was more than half of the respondents.
But this is also only ones who play Reddit,
that is a good point. That this is probably more of a demographic reach of Reddit.
I think I saw something from Yoshi P making a similar point though.
Oh yeah,
let me see if I can find it. But yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. If you can find it, I would love to have another data point. But I was thinking that MMOs, I think in general, I wonder how much appeal there is for MMOs in like younger generations, and I wonder how much of trying to make this appeal to people who are like 27 to 40 is like people have like kids and jobs and shit now, and you don't play World of Warcraft 10 hours a day or whatever.
Right.
So making it a more casualized experience is technically servicing the same demographic who grew up with these games, who don't have the same amount of time to commit to more frictional experiences.
That's a good point, because when I think about what the younger generation, the types of online experiences that they've been playing, it is largely these very sandboxy, super open, do whatever you want style stuff. And, we still see that games, like Lethal Company and things like that are so leaning into the social aspect as gameplay are popular. And I wonder if you go play World of Warcraft, does it feel like some old man shit,
Yeah, like it's kind of rote at this point to like having general chat is like, big fucking deal. It's like, what is this, just Discord with people?
Yeah, I can get on a microphone and call someone a slur. I don't need this crap.
Amen.
Also, the thing you were saying about Final Fantasy, I went and checked. Yoshi P did, in a video they did for the new Dissidia game. I think it's on mobile only. Stupid. He made a point not about Final Fantasy 14, but about Final Fantasy in general, and that the games take too long. Yeah, that sort of thing. So it's like you can't have any interest in playing Final Fantasy because fucking the last one was like 10 years ago. Who cares? Yeah.
Which I think I feel like is misidentifying the problem. I don't know. This is again a fucking boomer take, but I feel like Final Fantasy was, in trying to shift their demographic towards a more like action RPG approach, I feel like they are sort of alienating a certain type of person who likes old Final Fantasy games. I'm not saying they should just make turn-based fucking games forever. I think Final Fantasy 11 and 14 are really cool, interesting experiments with genre. But I do think 16 smacked more of like a God of War than it did of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, obviously, look at Expedition 33 or the Octopath Traveler series. Like, there's an interest in playing those kinds of games that isn't just nostalgia. It's like they were doing something in particular or Pokemon even. Like, I think that argument of like nobody wants turn-based games when Pokemon is still not just because of the property, but also that people like playing the games for a reason. That's still successful. I find that so strange. But yeah, it's weird. Give me Final Fantasy. That is a turn-based party-based thing. Come on, please.
The last thing I'll say is I was reading that article last night, the Yoshi P thing about Dissidia and Final Fantasy games taking so long. I think the other thing is that it's something we talked about recently with Final Fantasy. I think the themes of the games have shifted such that playing Final Fantasy VII as a kid felt very like countercultural and transgressive. This like game about eco-terrorists from Japan. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And like blowing up a evil nuclear reactor. I was like, that's sick. That's like crazy. And I think that again, I'm not trying to shit on 16 or 15 or like the recent games, because I think they are interesting in their own way. But being like a prince who has a road trip with the boys, or being like another kind of like prince-like guy who's like, I don't know, whatever. It just feels like it's
slaves.
That's true.
He is. That's literally what he's doing.
No,
Sorry,
I know. I just feel like it's lost a little bit of its edge, and I feel like appealing to the youth isn't just about like genre demographic. It's also about making experiences that like the world is fucked up right now, and if your Final Fantasy is always about like rising up and killing God because it is our desire to destroy the shitty world we live in is sublimated onto this epic struggle against killing God. God isn't God in Final Fantasy. God is like the status quo. It's like these evil forces that control the world. So we're doing like a Jungian projection onto killing God because we can't like kill the government, right? And I feel like Final Fantasy was always about sublimating our dissatisfaction with the fucking evil status quo that exists.
If Final Fantasy 16 was turn-based, you would be fucking shouting its praises, I swear to God.
I don't think I would. I don't like the writing in it. I don't like the characters. I don't like the way that
I don't like the way they treat Jill. I'll agree with that.
I don't know. I watched Chelsea play it, and I was like, I literally could never get through this game.
Right.
Even if it
I
was
feel like that's
so.
a series. If you don't like the story, you're not going to be able to get through it. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and that's
But
it's
anyway,
half
I
the
feel
reason
like
you play those games.
The disconnect with the youth is also in terms of like themes and speaking to like a youth experience, and in big part that's because the game industry, as it becomes larger and stuff, I think probably creative lead positions skew older. I think that like the people who were making creative decisions in the 90s on these teams, it was a smaller team that was a younger team as well, and now you have like a guy who's like 42 who's a careerist making those calls.
I think it's one of the biggest issues that the games industry has at the moment is the complete lack of connection with the younger audience, and then sometimes it happens per chance, or it happens and they try and hold on to it. Like look at Fortnite at the moment, numbers are apparently down again, and obviously they've decided to use that as justification for sacking 1,000 people. But like, yeah, I think it's a reason why maybe some of these games like Lethal Company or social games like that sort of have their moments because they're appealing in a different way. But yeah, I mean, if we're bored of those games, then those people don't give a shit. Like if we're bored of AAA games and AA games that are just doing the same thing that they did 15 years ago, then those kids clearly don't give a shit. So yeah, it's go play. If you had to pick between one of the two, Final Fantasy 14
Retail
or
WoW and
Retail
Final
WoW.
Fantasy 14?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Jesse's voted.
No, so that's good.
that's funny. I don't know. It's really fucking tough. I would say that Final Fantasy 14 had like novelty points for me because I'd never played it before. But I found it a little more sterile and less interesting. And I ran some dungeons and I found them a lot less like the readability of the dungeon experience felt a lot less interesting to me. It felt more like muddled and chaotic. World of Warcraft has a very like iconic, readable, cartoony, painterly sort of like visual density to it that I find very nice and tangible.
Sounds like one is like going to Disneyland and one is like going to Akihabara or something. Like it's a little
like
bit
Universal.
dirty and messy, but it's so interesting and novel. And the other one's like, ooh, everything here is clean and refined, but also less interesting.
Yeah. I can't say. I'll report back because I'm gonna play. Now I have to play Midnight because someone very kindly bought it for me. So
exactly.
I will report back because I've got signed. I got the
tricked
contract
you.
signed in blood.
They tricked you into hanging out.
It's true. It's the ultimate. If you spend a bunch of money on someone, it's like, well, fuck. Now I
They
can't
literally
say no.
paid you to be their friend,
Exactly.
Yeah,
like more
that's
than
true.
before.
Yeah.
That's true.
Love it. Good stuff. We're going to leave the podcast there because we talked a lot. I talked a lot about California. We talked a lot about WoW, the Ratline, and of course, Densha de Go. We'll check in with some other bits and bobs. Frank, I know you played some more Marathon. I think I'm going to dive back into Resi since they added that the new patch on PS5 Pro. It's looking even better. We got some emails too. We might do an email only episode for patrons or something like that because we've collected a couple of emails we always get emails, but I've skipped the emails a few times because we've run on a bit, and we've got some editing to do. I'm currently editing the Ultimate Drummer video with the folks from Cool 3D World. That'll be up as part of Computer Worlds on, yesterday, as far as you're concerned, listening to this podcast, if you're listening to it early. I've also got the Legend of California big review hitting Noclip 2. Earlier this week, Jesse put up a great video about loading. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I sat down with the developer of Loading, Zuyando, about their development process, becoming a developer, their time in academia, both as a student and as a professor themselves, teaching the next generation of game developers. Really insightful stuff. I thought it was a really interesting conversation, and it goes down some pretty sad routes. I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's a dev diary that they also go by Toby, that Toby had made about working on the game, but it's interesting because it has it has very little game dev in it. It's sort of just his life leading up to that release of that video. And it's very sad. I very quickly alluded to it visually in that video on Noclip 2, but you should really go watch it because it's so cool. You see his students figuring out how to make video games, what physical gaming is like, what the idea of a game is, and then it cuts to the saddest thing I could have imagined in that moment. So yeah, I really recommend checking that out after you've watched the video because you learn a little bit more about Loading and Toby's work. And yeah, it was very good. And we had a conversation after we recorded while I was waiting for his recording to upload on Riverside. Yeah. And it was actually it was this sort of thing where I was I wish I didn't stop recording because this is a really
literally happens every fucking time. It happens when we do sit down interviews.
Yeah, as soon as you turn the camera off, the best thing comes up every time.
Every down, and I'm fucking hit record.
God damn it!
Yeah, exactly.
Go again. Yeah, about juice, a conversation we were having in the Discord about juice in games and the product design element of that and how we sort of have designed games for retention as opposed to being designed for intention. And it was really cool to have that conversation with someone who's teaching the next generation to not focus on that sort of thing. Try to make stuff that is about something, like Consume Me and Despalote. That comes up in the video as well. Yeah, really great stuff. I really recommend checking out that video and wishlisting Loading on Steam. I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm delighted you talked to him. Thanks for doing that. He was actually one of the people, Gil, when I asked him what games have interesting stories behind them as part of Computer Worlds, and that was the first one he mentioned was, okay, if you don't know this guy, you should talk to this guy. He's got a very interesting perspective. And of course, Vietnamese American living in Ho Chi Minh at the moment. Is that right?
Yes, now living in Ho Chi Minh City, but born and raised in SoCal. So
there you go. Love it. Yeah. He's the legend of Ho Chi Minh City he could be making these days. Who knows? Probably not. Disco Elysium should be all up by now. Thank you for being part of this very long production. I hope you enjoyed it. I also did the 41st Precinct podcast this week as well. So you can, if you want to hear me talk about Noclip and making documentaries and the Disco series and all that sort of stuff. That, of course, is a very popular Disco Elysium community podcast that I've listened to for quite a while. So that was very cool to be invited on and talk candidly about all that with him. And I think that's almost everything. There's probably some other bits. Go check out Melgarasha. Episode 3, can we get that up?
Yeah, I forgot to send you links. I've got both the next episodes done already. So
cool. Yeah, I might stick it up next week. We'll see.
Sure.
Will Jesse be able to kill that ninja? Did he practice before we went live? All answers will be answered in episode 3.
Did he cheat?
Maybe. So you guys don't know how far we are yet, right? Do you want me to tell you? So we've recorded 4 episodes. I think we're at Sniper Wolf now.
Is that what they're called? I don't know.
That's what. Yeah, we're at Sniper Wolf now. But he's met,
Vulcan Raven.
Yep, Giant and Shaman. He's met him.
Yep.
You've Revolver Ocelot's lost an arm. We've done a lot
learned
of looking at Meryl's
why
arse.
Otacon's name is Otacon.
I did not know. Did you guys
pisses
know why
me
he's
off.
called Otacon?
Is he an otaku? Is that
Why is that his name though? What's the rest of the name?
What's the name?
Otaku convention?
Yes, that's actually his name.
Yes.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Pissed me off.
I did not. He's talking about police knots or whatever.
He's like, I really wanted to make these robot anime police officers. That was my real goal, but now I'm building nuclear bombs. Isn't it funny how that happens?
He works there because he wanted to make Gundams, basically, is what I've gotten that.
But he has nukes in his DNA. His father was born on, D-Day or whatever, something like that.
The day the bombs dropped.
Or when they bombed Nagasaki,
yeah. Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so he's having a great time. We're like 4 hours into that game, and it's already the most bananas.
It's so good. Why didn't anyone tell me?
Go check out Mel Garasha on the Noclip 2 Patreon. All right, that's it, folks. We'll talk to you next week. Go check out all our videos, and we'll see you next week in April, would you believe? We'll see you in April. You're not a fool if you follow Noclip 2.